T5S2 stands for the Tactical Tortoise Tabletop Simulator Tournament Series. It is a global competitive 40K circuit that ranks players based on their results in online games, including events run by Tactical Tortoise and many other communities. At the end of each biannual season, the top 16 players in the series are given the opportunity to play for the title of Season Champion and become the greatest virtual 40K player in the world in this very event, the Seasonal Invitational Tournament. With over 400 players and dozens of tournaments competing on the ladder in Season 1, T5S2 is now one of the largest and most competitive series in online Warhammer and shows no signs of slowing down. So what are you waiting for? Visit TTS40K.com to view live standings, join the community Discord server, and get information on upcoming events and tournaments. There is glory to be won on this virtual battlefield, Commander. Do you have what it takes to compete? Want to get involved in T5S2 or events run by Tactical Tortoise? Visit the Tactical Tortoise Discord server at the link in the video description. There you can find signups for all manner of tournaments and casual games, including the T5S2 Youngbloods series of free, new player-friendly events designed to introduce you to 9th edition and give you a chance to experiment with new lists. For those looking for more competitive action, rapid-fire tournament pods are currently available that award prize support and standings points and help you hone your skills to a knife's edge. And remember to stay tuned for even more exciting events as Season 2 progresses, including team events, online GTs, and free weekly tournament pods launching shortly after the conclusion of this Invitational on August 16th. Welcome to the community, and I'll see you on the battlefield. T5S2 stands for the Tactical Tortoise Tabletop Simulator Tournament Series. It is a global competitive 40K circuit that ranks players based on their results in online games, including events run by Tactical Tortoise and many other communities. At the end of each biannual season, the top 16 players in the series are given the opportunity to play for the title of Season Champion and become the greatest virtual 40K player in the world in this very event, the Seasonal Invitational Tournament. With over 400 players and dozens of tournaments competing on the ladder in Season 1, T5S2 is now one of the largest and most competitive series in online Warhammer and shows no signs of slowing down. So what are you waiting for? Visit tts40k.com to view live standings, join the community Discord server, and get information on upcoming events and tournaments. There is glory to be won on this virtual battlefield, Commander. Do you have what it takes to compete? Want to get involved in T5S2 or events run by Tactical Tortoise? Visit the Tactical Tortoise Discord server at the link in the video description. There you can find signups for all manner of tournaments and casual games, including the T5S2 Youngbloods series of free, new player-friendly events designed to introduce you to 9th edition and give you a chance to experiment with new lists. For those looking for more competitive action, rapid-fire tournament pods are currently available that award prize support and standings points and help you hone your skills to a knife's edge. And remember to stay tuned for even more exciting events as Season 2 progresses, including team events, online GTs, and free weekly tournament pods launching shortly after the conclusion of this Invitational on August 16th. Welcome to the community, and I'll see you on the battlefield. T5S2 stands for the Tactical Tortoise Tabletop Simulator Tournament Series. It is a global competitive 40K circuit that ranks players based on their results in online games, including events run by Tactical Tortoise and many other communities. At the end of each biannual season, the top 16 players in the series are given the opportunity to play for the title of Season Champion and become the greatest virtual 40K player in the world in this very event, the Seasonal Invitational Tournament. With over 400 players and dozens of tournaments competing on the ladder in Season 1, T5S2 is now one of the largest and most competitive series in online Warhammer and shows no signs of slowing down. So what are you waiting for? Visit tts40k.com to view live standings, join the community Discord server, and get information on upcoming events and tournaments. There is glory to be won on this virtual battlefield, Commander. Do you have what it takes to compete? Want to get involved in T5S2 or events run by Tactical Tortoise? Visit the Tactical Tortoise Discord server at the link in the video description. There you can find signups for all manner of tournaments and casual games, including the T5S2 Youngbloods series of free, new player-friendly events designed to introduce you to 9th edition and give you a chance to experiment with new lists. For those looking for more competitive action, rapid-fire tournament pods are currently available that award prize support and standings points and help you hone your skills to a knife's edge. And remember to stay tuned for even more exciting events as Season 2 progresses, including team events, online GTs, and free weekly tournament pods launching shortly after the conclusion of this Invitational on August 16th. Welcome to the community, and I'll see you on the battlefield. T5S2 stands for the Tactical Tortoise Tabletop Simulator Tournament Series. It is a global competitive 40K circuit that ranks players based on their results in online games, including events run by Tactical Tortoise and many other communities. At the end of each biannual season, the top 16 players in the series are given the opportunity to play for the title of Season Champion and become the greatest virtual 40K player in the world in this very event, the Seasonal Invitational Tournament. With over 400 players and dozens of tournaments competing on the ladder in Season 1, T5S2 is now one of the largest and most competitive series in online Warhammer and shows no signs of slowing down. So what are you waiting for? Visit tts40k.com to view live standings, join the community Discord server, and get information on upcoming events and tournaments. There is glory to be won on this virtual battlefield, Commander. Do you have what it takes to compete? Want to get involved in T5S2 or events run by Tactical Tortoise? Visit the Tactical Tortoise Discord server at the link in the video description. There you can find signups for all manner of tournaments and casual games, including the T5S2 Youngbloods series of free, new player-friendly events designed to introduce you to 9th edition and give you a chance to experiment with new lists. For those looking for more competitive action, rapid-fire tournament pods are currently available that award prize support and standings points and help you hone your skills to a knife's edge. And remember to stay tuned for even more exciting events as Season 2 progresses, including team events, online GTs, and free weekly tournament pods launching shortly after the conclusion of this Invitational on August 16th. Welcome to the community, and I'll see you on the battlefield.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the stream. This is the Pod 16
bizarrely
finals,
third semifinal.
returning to the finals table. Top 10 WTC Team Scotland. TC hopeful for 20. The Canadas could make it. Closer to 20 more play time. We're going to see some fireworks today, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the stream. This is it. After 1,500 games of Warhammer 40,000, dozens of tournaments, hundreds of players, these two players' blood, sweat, and tears has brought them to this point. If this is the game to determine the greatest virtual Warhammer 40k player in the entire world, this is the T5S2 Invitational Grand Finals between Jaime Paris in the blue, playing Space Wolves, in the defending position in this game, versus in the red, Liam Vissel, playing Harlequins from WTC Team Belgium. These are two of the greatest players to ever play Tabletop Simulator 40k, and we are absolutely blessed to have them on stream today. I hope everyone is hyped for this game, and I hope my co-host is hyped as well. I'm joined by Shuma on the mics. How's it going, Shuma?
Pretty good. I got my iced coffee, I got my sunglasses. This is gonna be a scorcher.
Oh, absolutely. These players have put up some insane games over the weekend in the elimination stage. Jaime specifically clambering over an endless mountain of dead Nurglings to get to the finals. But this time, he's going to have to show his breadth as a player, not just fighting against the hottest takes chaos list, but we have an entirely different paradigm in triple Skyweaver Harlequins.
Oh yeah, what a great set of just counter meta picks out of both of these players. And not just that, they're backed by expert play in every game. I have no idea how this game is going to turn out.
I know, absolutely. We've seen in all of the games previously that the player skill, I think, has been the number one determinant for to give these players an edge in their games. Neither of these players have, to my knowledge, really made any play mistakes that I can see over the course of the this invitational tournament, and both of them absolutely superb at running their specific factions. We've seen Liam in his previous games with some excellent control over his command point resources. He's been able to end games on turn 3 or 4 with 9 or 10 CP, using them extremely cagily, making sure that all of his units can get exactly where they need to, and that he constantly has a steady stream of resources to keep his Skyweavers alive over the course of the game. And on the flip side, Jaime playing these Space Wolves with an incredibly aggressive game plan, just forcing powerful melee units up the table to force his opponent off of center objectives. I think the combination of these two gameplay styles is going to be absolutely incredible to watch today.
Oh yeah, what a couple of lists too to just express player skill. I mean, these are not lists that sit back and hope for good rolls. It is decision-making in every stage of the game.
Absolutely, yeah. This is no 90 Nurglings to take the center of the table and hope your opponent can times out before they kill them. Yeah, there's no Space Marine gun lines here. These are some of the most finesse armies in the entire game, and definitely goes to show you that skill with your list, I think, is superlative in Warhammer 40k.
Oh, yeah, and both of these lists too received not complete overhauls, but slight overhauls going into this final round. Some refinement, just that further expression of player skill. You're seeing what's working, what's not. It's a fresh addition, and being able to think on your feet is it's a good skill to have.
Absolutely, yeah. So the players, obviously, we started the Invitational with the group stage with the top 16 from the T5S2 standings. Those were eliminated down to 8, and the players were given the chance to revise their list, especially with some of the new FAQs that came out earlier in the week. And both players deciding to make some very key changes to their list in order to counter their particular sides of the bracket. Liam,
who would have seen?
Yeah,
pivot into Wolfen.
Right? Jaime was playing a list very built around a range superiority with the Space Wolves, using a lot of the Forge World, very powerful Space Marine Adeptus Astartes shooting units like Relic Contemptors, like Landspeeder Tempests, and making use of the old Space Wolf ability to objective secured on any one of their models. But pivoting hard, removing all of those guns from his list and taking 12 Wolfen. Sick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It is a smart play, too. Plays excellently in Nurglings, plays excellently into Skyweavers, plays excellently into everything that came into this top 8. I mean, that was just a smart call.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting to see if the Wolfen are able to catch up with these Skyweavers. You know, that being said, obviously Curtain Fall is one of the most powerful abilities, one of the most powerful stratagems, I would say, almost in the game. I think the ability to fight and then just you know, nope right on out of there is going to be incredible. The players were discussing it before the game as I was listening to them and discussing the interaction between the Wolfen's Frenzy ability and that Curtain Falls. And the Wolfen actually do get to swing before the Skyweavers leave combat. So there is a potential that a Skyweaver charge from Wolfen could still result in some dead bikes. There
are two potentials here, right? Because this Judiciaire is...
Oh, of course.
a key unlocking the box called Harlequins. You may be able to nope out after your attack, but if you go second in your own charge,
yes.
You might not be there.
The curtain may have fallen for the Harlequins.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, and that's something that we saw Nick Rose in the semifinals game struggle against. The ability of these Skyweavers to come in, just hit reasonably hard with those Zephyr Glaives, chop off a couple Intercessor heads, and then just jump right on out of combat.
Yeah.
And Nick was definitely missing a Judiciaire in his list as a Twilight Fang Troopmaster sort of dove on his entire formation and kind of ended his invitational career there.
Yeah, that stratagem ended the Salamander's whole career, but it is not a one-hit kill. For one thing Skyweavers do have, perhaps above anything else, is incredible mobility, and a Judiciaire can only be in one place.
Yes, absolutely. And as we've seen before, Jaime he's very practiced against Space Marines. All of his games in the top 8 so far have been against various flavors of Adeptus Astartes, and so far he's been able to absolutely pick them apart. They really, it looks like, it makes it Space Marines look like they are just garbage. They're one of the worst factions in the game when Harlequins are everywhere at once and the Space Marine Death Balls just cannot compete and cannot gather enough of their force to commit into this Harlequin list. And the Harlequins just slowly but surely nibble, nickel and dime and nibble at the edges of these Space Marine lists and tear them apart.
Oh yeah. And Jaime has proven time and time again that he is not the type of player that just hits a switch and then plows his entire Harlequin army into the teeth of the enemy. He is a cagey and slow, methodical player here.
Absolutely.
And it plays in a way that it perhaps a little bit rare among armies that have such close combat potential and, cross-board 40-inch moves.
Right. Yeah, there is definitely the impetus when you're playing Harlequins to just yeet your models across the table and just totally dive on your opponent. And as we've seen in all of his games, Liam is aware of that and will use that ability when he has to, but he likes to play this cagey hit-and-run game and make sure that his opponent has no recourse to attack him. Even if it means that he gives up a little bit of board presence. In the 9th edition missions, you have to move up the table so far in order to score those primary objectives that you're eventually going to be in a position where these Harlequins, even if they just stay in their deployment zone for the most part, can initiate attacks sort of across the entire breadth of your army.
Oh, yeah.
A couple things to note as well, chat, before we get in. We do have a contest going off thanks to our sponsor, Miniature Market. If you exclamation point giveaway in the chat, you'll get a form that you can enter to win a $50 Miniature Market gift card. Big thanks to Miniature Market for giving us that to give away to you guys for the stream. And big thanks to all of the sponsors for the Invitational who have been kind enough to give us some incredible prize support, including especially big shout out to Discount Games Incorporated. If you guys haven't checked them out, they have a wide breadth of all miniature war games, including Warhammer 40k and my Crisis Protocol, War Machine and Hordes, just a whole plethora. And they have a lot of incredible deals, especially if you contact them directly. They may be able to give you a little bit of an extra discount on top of their list price. So absolutely big thanks to Jay and the team over there. Also big thanks to GameMat.eu, who's going to be giving away a whole tabletop gaming mat to the winner of this event.
Now, Trevi, might want to go over the map here a little bit. I feel like that's almost a third player in,
absolutely.
in this game.
Yeah, so we should note as well, you can find all of the rules and regulations for the Invitational games over at tts40k.com/invitational. You can also see the lists there, and we'll talk about these lists in a sec. But the all of the Invitational uses the maps a little bit differently than a standard GT 2020 game of 40k. All of the maps that we're using for the Invitational are asymmetric, so as you can see, the players don't quite have the same terrain on both sides. The blue side here that Jaime is deploying in has two of these obstructing walls, blocking off the edges, and then obscuring area terrain in the center to make it a little bit easier to hide vehicles, whereas the red side of the table basically has very little obscuring terrain besides this large crane in the back that will block a little bit of line of sight. But the intention there is that the attacker-defender role in these games is going to take place before deployment begins, so you will know who is attacking or who is going first at that stage, and the defender can then pick their table side appropriately. Now, this has been interesting because in some situations we've seen in these melee-centric matchups, one player will take the side of the table with maybe less terrain, but it may have more obstacles or sort of non-breachable terrain pieces so that they can be more defensive in a melee-only mirror match. Whereas in some cases, that defending player wants to take this side of the table with a lot of terrain. Now, there was a question in the chat who won the attacker-defender role, and that was Jaime, and he did choose to go second. Because in this instance, the Harlequins, I think, benefit immensely from going second in this particular matchup. Because the Space Wolves are forced into the center of the table, and then they can counterattack appropriately. But the Space Wolves are going to force the Harlequins into a similar position. None of this Harlequin stuff is particularly resilient, and if it moves up too aggressively, the Space Wolves can just counterattack and wipe a lot of clowns off the table.
That is right. And I got to imagine that is almost key to the Space Wolves' plan, is to try and bait a charge that is honestly just ill-considered by the Harlequins. Like, one bad instance of a Skyweaver Jetbike unit going into these Wolfen, who are sitting on 3-up invulns themselves, could end the Skyweaver's whole career, and as we've seen in previous games, Jaime needs all three of these. Like, he needs to be careful, he needs to ensure at least one of them is there at the end of the game, once both armies are spent, to almost sort of victory lap around, and ensure that his table dominance is there on turns 4 and 5.
Yes, yeah, and yeah, that's usually been a key of the Harlequins game plan, like you mentioned. Liam has been very good at keeping one of these Skyweaver units, using Fire and Fade to sort of keep it in a back corner tucked away, so that late game, once the other two Skyweavers and the players and the enemy melee presence sort of mutually annihilates, you can anchor with that last Skyweaver unit and use them to close out the game very decisively.
And what a difficult thing that is to do. Like, the self-control it requires to have a unit that could just
right.
Fire itself like a cannon across the table and kill anything.
Yeah, like, look at me. I could 3+ invulnerable save these guys. I could go in. I could blast an impulsor to death, charge a unit of Wolfen, get +1 to wound, double fight them. Maybe I'll lose a couple guys on the way in, but look at all the damage I could do. But turns out, just trading models as a Harlequin player, you don't start with that many, so you will eventually lose.
Sometimes it's best to hide behind a crane.
Absolutely, yeah. You just gotta put some of those suitcases in between you and the opponent, and just chill for a bit. Take a chill pill. Do some juggling. Maybe make some balloon animals in the back of your deployment zone there.
So how does this matchup mess with your fantasy bracket? Because I gotta say, my fantasy bracket has got blown right up.
Absolutely overturned. Yeah, some hype in the chat here. I think for Space Wolves and Harlequins in the top 2 in the finals of the event. Looking at it, we saw this hottest stakes chaos list, especially pre-Smite nerf. But even once that had been corrected, the list was still very powerful. Just putting Nurglings on the table. One of the most efficient ways to get wounds, objective secured wounds into any army and onto any objective. And those lists already have been putting up results in real space games as well. And so I think definitely there's the impetus to highly value that style of board control, chaos board control list. And then also Space Wolves. Like, what are Space Wolves doing, man? They're just weird Space Marines. But both of these, the Chaos list and the Salamanders list that were putting up incredible results in the group stage, both being knocked out by these different varieties of sort of off the wall. I guess is probably not quite as meta players that the game at large would consider them in these Space Wolves and these Harlequins.
Yeah, they may seem off the wall, but then when you look at their stat lines, you see their game plan. It turns out they fit perfectly into the ecosystem. A forest full of Nurglings has a top predator, and that predator is just called Ragnar Blackmane.
Oh yeah, that guy will kill like 10 bases.
Yeah, he takes 20 points in that Diablo 2 whirlwind attack, and he just like spins through and kills 50 himself. Competing on the other side, like Skyweaver's sitting on a 3-up invuln, sitting on the ability to dash into visibility, make their attacks dash back out, especially now in 9th edition, where honestly it's much harder to draw line of sight to them if they can be moved again. Their ability to just go in, wipe out light vehicles, their ability to just scythe through the Primaris stat line, both of these lists seems like they felt very comfortable going into the other, maybe a little more obvious top meta players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I think especially, like we mentioned before, both of these lists are some of the most finesse-oriented lists in the game. And a lot of times, like, you can bring a list that's mathematically perfect and, should theoretically white table your opponent in 2 turns, every time. But if against an incredibly good player bringing a list that gives them more options, then your mathematical perfection will most likely go down every time.
Right.
I should notice as well, in order to, just a couple house rules for the game to make sure that the chat is aware. We have some odd terrain pieces here. These sort of giant cryo-freeze chambers in the center are obscuring obstacles. They are breachable, so infantry can move through them. Obviously, the Harlequins have their flip belt, so they don't care anyway. And they do have a collider inside them, which will determine where models can actually be placed. Effectively the stairs out in front of them don't have a collider in them, and so those are just going to be used for line of sight purposes. But models can be placed overlapping the stairs, effectively standing on the stairs, if they can move there and avoid the collider. So that's what these Harlequin players are doing. The fact that they are sort of phased into the terrain is perfectly legal, using the terrain rules that we have. We also have these adorable little consoles, because this being Vital Intelligence, you have to have something to hack for your data intercept. And those are entirely just for show. Those are just objective markers, so they are going to be ignored by movement.
And I like this play here, pushing these players up onto Objective 3, trying to bait these Wolfen out.
I think we may be going for a Twilight Pathways, to be honest.
Oh, do you think they're just going to go in there immediately?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're diving.
How many?
Yeah, we got the Shadow Seer. He's all set up for it. He's ready.
You think it'll work out? There's not a lot of space to fit players simply to get their attacks.
Yeah, it depends entirely on their advance roll, right? And we do have, I believe that the Harlequins could use their stratagem to advance an additional 6 inches, so they could be going 14, right, after...
Yeah. They also could just advance backwards if they get a bad roll.
So they could advance almost up to this wall, and then...
yeah, they could just get the full wrap on the side. Yeah, that'd be brutal.
Charge through could rip apart these Wolfen. They could also... with the Twilight Pathways movement, we could also see the stratagem popped to give them a 3+ invulnerable save. So they aren't going to be quite as dead to the Wolfen swinging when they die as well.
And the Judiciary right now is not prepared. He is hanging out in one of these transports.
Yeah, Illidan's over there.
Hard to heroically intervene out of the back of a flatbed truck. Moving up onto Objective 2 as well. And Objective 4, we're taking much more board presence being taken this time than we maybe have seen in previous games with Jaime.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen him go second a lot in a lot of his games. Or we've seen Liam go second a lot in a lot of his games, and this is certainly different. Oh, here's a Troop Master running up the table. Looks like he's going to set up to allow those players to reroll wounds with the Choreographer of War ability. Yeah, I think we're setting up for just a big alpha trying to take a Wolfen unit off the table as quickly as possible. Wow, this is this is an aggressive play here.
Yeah, I think
oh boy.
Starting the Judiciary like off the table in the transports with the Blade Guard. I mean, that might have ended up being quite the misplay then.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us were expecting quite this hard of a push, especially given Jaime's past as a very cagey player. But I mean, you only need to be cagey until you find the opponent's jugular, and if you just go for it immediately.
Liam's game plan, you mean? For the Harlequins?
Yeah.
Looks like we may also be lining up for a Haywire shot into this back impulsor. I don't think we have the range quite to do that, though, so we're just going to keep them safe. Fair enough. Yeah, this is so aggressive. I love it, though.
Oh, wow. The Troopmaster's all the way out here, too. He's like...
Yeah, because he does have to broadcast at 6-inch aura, right? So and that comes up. That's good. That gets pretty far up the table. He can get up just outside that wall. So, we haven't talked about the lists yet, but Liam's Harlequin, his large Harlequin troops have just a couple Harlequins just with their normal blades in them, and then the rest of them have either kisses or caresses to deal additional damage. And yeah, they're so lovey-dovey. But he uses those unupgraded blade Harlequin players to just as the chain. You know, there are a couple of Blade of Wounds he can take, and he can chain them back without really losing any damage output from the unit, because those guys are just equipped as sort of standard close combat weapons. So he doesn't really care about having to string them back to his characters, to get his Twilight pathways, to get his Choreographer of War going.
So how much damage will a Harlequin player's unit do to a Wolfen squad that is loaded up with Storm Shields? It feels like that damage could be either tremendous or nothing.
Yeah, it's a really interesting. There's a really interesting interaction here as well, because this is a Frozen Stars list from the Harlequin, so they're going to get an additional attack on the charge, and they have access to that +1 to wound against infantry strat. So they could come in and pop those, coming in at strength 4 with +1 to wound. Wounding on 3s with full rerolls is good, but as soon as you pop that, the Space Wolves player, spends his own 2 CP and transhuman physiology as that unit of Wolfen. So maybe it is a question, of whether or not you want to bait your opponent out of 2 CP there. But with that full reroll and 5 attacks apiece on these players for D3 damage a pop on the Harlequin's kisses, I mean, that is a ton. That is a ton of damage. And that's the style of attacks you need to kill Storm Shield Wolfen. Just hitting them for one, big Thunderhammer attacks will bounce off those Storm Shields. But high volume mid-range attacks, we talked about it basically every game in the Invitational so far. But that's sort of where the meta is right now, is you want to be swinging like a bunch of D3 damage or 2 damage attacks, rather than just a couple big Thunderhammer hits. And that's exactly what these players are kitted out to do.
Yeah, sometimes you look at a Harlequin's Quick Kiss, and you're like, D3, but only -1. I mean, you're going to bounce off the armor most of the time. But Wolfen has a 4-up base save and a 3-up Storm Shield. Like, that AP does not matter, but the volume of damage certainly does.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, it's kind of weird, but the D3 damage makes the 5+ ignore on the Wolfen feel not quite as bad. Because if you hit them for flat, too, a lot of times it will just cut that in half. But sometimes with a D3, you'll hit them for 3 and can probably punch through and kill a guy anyway. Oh, yeah. It's one of the few situations where you'd rather have D3, I think, than a flat 2.
I do like the almost complete abandonment of the other side of the board as well. Out of Liam. These Wolfen could perhaps smash into the Starweave over here, but then some players pop out, they OBSEC Objective 4, and you're just leaving a full Wolfen squad to get just deleted by 12, 10, 15 Skyweavers.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what Liam wants the Space Wolves to do, right? He wants them to move up and engage in full line of sight of his entire army. He's going to put a bunch of Haywire shooting into them. He's going to do some firing fading. He's going to come in with these Skyweavers and cut some Wolfen up and then pop out of melee. Yeah, he'd much rather engage on his terms, for sure.
We have some nice incursors back here, just hugging these fuel canisters, just kind of, trying not to die.
Yeah, they're really worried about the redeploy stratagems that Harlequins have access to, and they're going to be stringing around the back side of the table and just making sure that we don't see any, Harlequin characters like redeploying into their backline, which is something that the Space Wolves list has been weak to in the past. It's so aggressive that a lot of times it pushes so far up the table, it can't really hold its backline, and any powerful units jumping back there could really mess up its game plan.
Yeah, it is not been rare to see Ragnar Blackmane alone, just kind of hanging out on Objective 6, you know, sipping his Kool-Aid. But quite a few things could just teleport behind that man and end his whole career.
Yeah, and you really, I mean, Ragnar Blackmane is not a model that you want to be doing on objective sitting duty, especially in a matchup as dangerous as Harlequins. Yeah. You want that guy to get up and kill a unit of players as soon as he can and use him as a peace trader.
You need something that's a little more resilient, too, to be holding your backline.
Here comes the Twilight Pathways.
Uh-oh.
So it looks like the players have mathed out. They can fit 4 Harlequin players on the side of the Space Wolf side of this wall, using some copy-pasted models as proxy bases.
The benefit of these small base sizes.
Yeah, absolutely. The 25mm base size is really important for these melee units. And then this wall is less than half of an inch, so they can fight through a second rank through the wall and get basically all of the Harlequin kisses, I think, into melee. Chat bringing up a good point, too, that the +1 damage strat on the Harlequins is also going to be absolutely murderous for the Wolf.
Yeah.
Really just sort of confirms those kills, even through the 5+ ignore, for any hit that gets through the Storm Shields.
This is going to be a big sloppy kiss delivered right to 300 points out of this Space Wolf list, and it is going to be disgusting.
Yeah, it's gonna suck for them. Yeah, I wonder if Jaime may be regretting his aggressive placement of the Wolfen a little bit. He could have just placed him maybe 6 inches farther back, and this whole plan is much scarier.
or at least snuck the Judicar in there.
Yeah, the issue is that, I guess, this is the side of the table where the Judiciar is much, or where the Wolfen are in much more danger, I think, given how much closer they are to the Harlequin deployment zone. Whereas on the other side of the table, there's not really any players that can hit the other Wolfen squad, so you probably don't need the Judiciar over there. Judiciar is in the Impulsor in the center, though.
Yeah, I imagine the plan was to protect them, camp with some Blade Guard vets, and then sort of explode out on the first turn, but perhaps this first turn assault just wasn't seen coming. This is just a big punch, and I don't think we've seen this out of Liam in a single game, right?
No, I mean, he's gone second a lot of his games, like we said before. But yeah, he typically plays very cagey. I think the one game that we watched him go first, he basically used it to take a lot of board presence and then just sort of hang out. Against he went first against Nick yesterday. Is that right? No, I think actually he went second in all of his elimination games so far.
Certainly don't want to act like this is a foregone conclusion, though. Like, you roll hut on some Storm Shields, and all of a sudden, the Harlequins are out here with their pants down.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and JW in the chat echoing that. This combat phase is going to be a kick in the teeth. The question is for which player, though. Yeah, a big combat unit is going to be rendered combat ineffective this turn.
Oh, yeah.
And but which one it is? It could just be both, actually. We could just see both of these units kill each other.
Interesting aspect of the Wolfen. Mutual annihilation is 100% possible there.
That's what
you kill this
do.
entire unit, and that just means you're taking, 20 Thunderhammer attacks back?
Yeah. You just eat it up. I mean, you might just. This is a situation where you might just kill the claw guys first.
Yeah.
And just ignore the getting those invulnerable saves just to fight the maximum number of times.
Oh yeah.
So there's no point transient.
So yeah, it looks like no +1 to wound from the Harlequins.
I mean, that's just a CP trade at that point, right? And they're perhaps they value their own more.
The transhuman through, yeah. Ooh, a lot of misses for these players, though.
Wounding on 4s.
Ooh.
No reroll 1s in there either.
Yeah, very few hit rerolls available for
Harlequins,
but they do have a lot of wound rerolls. Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
Oh, that conversion though.
Yeah, there you go.
So I guess we have
16
to this for
AP1 D3+1.
yeah. So
Torin in chat rooting for the Wolves, hoping the Storm Shields
All right.
took up a storm.
Uh-oh, not a survival.
Yeah, chat, who are we rooting for in this game? Are you in it for the Wolves, or are you in it for the Clowns?
Yeah, meat or clown makeup.
Yeah.
Do you like Death Clock or Insane Clown Posse? How's this going?
Eric Guerra in for the Quins. Oh, a lot of Harlequin fans in the chat.
It's their time to shine. I mean, they've got Farley's ever really had their time in the sun?
So one dead.
Maybe this is the start of something beautiful.
Dead, cool. Next 3 up. He's okay. 3 up. This is a lot of 3 ups. Damage.
Yeesh.
Yes.
For 2.
2.
So 5 ups. Ignores all
Oh
of
man,
them.
this
Oh,
damage
looks
is
like-
not
yeah.
going through though.
We did +1. We did +1 wound or +1 damage these guys, these Harlequins.
It's good.
But
This-
yeah, the slow roll on this is
This is looking like a bounce here.
There you
Uh oh.
go. Yeah,
Alright.
I mean the storm shields
Okay.
haven't been great. They've been okay. I think they've been
No, but
about
these
average.
DPRs have been.
CP reroll already?
How many left?
Quite a few. 9.
9.
And I should mention as well, chat. Normally we've had the players on a 90-minute chess clock for this game. We gave them the option at the start of the game to whether or not they wanted to play on the chess clock. Since this is the grand finals of the event, and they elected not to, just to make sure that there was, there's not going to be any stress. There's no sloppiness at the end of the game. We got all the time in the world to play out this one last game of Warhammer 40K to determine the winner of the series this year.
Oh yeah,
So-
how unsatisfying would that be to have like turn 4 clock out in the grand
Right,
finals?
yeah.
You know, do that.
And especially with 2 really hardcore melee lists that could potentially, bottom or top of 1 be in melee, and create these really complex interactions. Where you have to
This
roll
damage
really
is
attacks.
not going through. Oh, these.
These 5-ups are just insane. Who
they
in
just
the
all
chat?
dropped.
Yeah, who?
They-
Someone in the chat called that Jaime would roll a bunch of 5-ups. Fushini in the chat, you've blessed Jaime's dice.
They just threw their shields down, ripped their breastplates off, put the cooking oil on that chest, and they're just flexing right now.
What are they,
Oh no,
custodians?
there's nothing. Has a Wolfen died?
Oh my god. So lucky.
Uh oh.
I
All right,
jinxed it.
maybe this. Maybe this will be.
I've lost 2 hammers so far.
I think a couple have died. I think we just lost 3. I think.
1 is on 1
Okay.
wound. Because I passed 3 out of 4 Fiona Pains.
So much of the damage, though. I mean,
There
the
is 2
the damage is
left.
getting consistently sunken into the same guy. So I think some of
He's
the
gonna die.
damage here has also just been
Right,
lost
yeah,
to the
one
void.
guy just made
Is
a
it
billion
2
DPRs and is
I'm already
just
not
tanking
using
through.
the Incredible. He dies autumn. He's basically gonna die. So that's gonna be 3 hammers, and then there's 2 left.
I mean, this is the risk
I
of
could
that, like,
pass
Hail
both
Mary
of
swing
these.
into a squad that's got
Yeah,
3
I
up
love
invulns
that.
and a 5-up DPR. I mean, even if the math says it should
Before,
end up working
can
out,
you roll?
there are so many ways where you can end up just underkilling,
Alright,
and then
4
your
damage on this
remaining
guy.
shots
Alright,
over.
so
Alright,
that's-
You
there we go. We lost.
super overkill him.
Alright.
And then there's 2 3-up in ones left.
Looks like almost all the hammers
Good,
taken out,
and the
only
last
2
one.
left.
We failed.
Ooh.
Oh, and we're gonna CP one to keep that hammer alive.
Yes.
Drum roll, and he fails
Oh.
again. You gotta mix
Yep,
up the
in one.
dice there, Jaime.
Yeah,
You
dude,
can't
not-
just
not
roll
the
the
box.
same dice in the dice roll. TTS dice roller strikes again.
And again,
D3.
he swapped the dice out too.
For 3, I need to pass 2 of these. No. So 4 hammers die.
Wow.
So 4 hammers will now
Certainly
get
not the
3
squad,
into you.
though.
No, I mean that is a big chunk of them.
Yeah, but this clapback might pick up the entire
He's
player's
hit
unit.
you on 3s.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the players who put out a token for the 3+ invulnerable save. They might not have used it
you
on these guys.
2s.
One thing
Invulns?
that
Please fill
I
all
think
of them?
Liam has to be pretty happy about is that there's basically no ranged element.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
man.
not the numbers you want to see, though.
4 dead hammers.
Just wet noodles hit slap each other in this fight.
no.
Alright, they're all
But
Yeah,
I mean, the
we
wolves
just kill these-
get an attack phase as well. I mean, they're not.
Yeah, the rest of that
Yeah.
wolf unit's gonna swing. But that's just killing these standard blade players, not really doing too much damage to the damage output of this player squad. But that said, I think the Frost Claws have yet to swing, and those guys can really dice up
so they're dead.
some Harlequins.
This troop master is. I think
would you
that
like to consolidate?
the thought process was that this entire Wolfen squad was going to go down, but this troop master is
well, actually-
just out there right now. He is
And hit you.
not in a position
So
where he
we'll do
will
the
be
hammer again.
happy with what's about to happen to him.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, besides the
Threes,
characters,
wounding,
not a lot of this
twos.
Space Wolves list is combat effective against
That many?
the Harlequins. I mean, the Blade Guard veterans are going to be absolutely
more?
nasty, and intercessors are never bad, but you'd much rather... If you were going to overcommit
One
to kill the
dice.
Wolfen, I mean, you're going to do
Then
it
we have
because
the
those
6
are the
attacks
most
and
dangerous
sergeant
models in
hitting on
the
twos.
Space Wolf side of the table. And if you can get
And
rid of those
wounding on
early,
twos,
the
rerolling.
Haywire bikes should be able to
Actually,
probably,
I think I'm
mostly
plus
run the
1
table for
strength
the rest
only.
of
I'd be strength
the
6,
rest
so
of the
yes.
game.
Yeah.
Which I imagine is Liam's thought process.
So invulns. 2 more die.
We're stringing all the way back to keep this one player in the back alive,
They
but
hit on 2s and one more.
Yeah, we're just gonna pull that guy out of
And they
coherency. He's just a
ward on
blade,
twos.
Yeah.
a
These
blade
claws
model.
do not reroll. Okay.
but he'll die in coherency as well.
Super. Liam's not really worried about that. He's keeping that guy alive just in case he wants to fight again with these players to
So
try to
there's
kill
how
a couple
many
more
left?
Wolfen.
2?
That'll still give the other 2,
Okay.
or the other one now, access to the reroll to wound. But
That is
we
the
may.
But
end of
We
the
may
significantly
not be getting
reduces-
that. I don't
Would you
think
like
yeah.
to fight
we're
again?
gonna fight again with one guy.
No.
Reduces the chance pretty heavily that you just insane bravery this
more
unit to
phase.
lock the Wolfen in combat to keep them from just absolutely deleting the True Master on the following turn.
For sure.
Pass?
They
No,
die,
they-
so one dies, and then on a 1 or 2, the last one.
Although I suppose, well, you know, because it's not locked
So
in.
you know-
Oh
Lost- I
no!
lost
They
Spectre,
failed the
so
morale
it's fine.
test, and the
Yeah.
second model ran away.
I cannot auto pass anymore this turn. I got super lucky there. There's one more player here that you can remove.
Yep. And do I get the CP back?
Do you get the CP back for the? Yeah, you do.
Fun thing about Wolfen, though, they don't have great leadership themselves. They did lose quite a few models.
Interesting.
There was a CP regen as well there for the Harlequins
so
off
at
the
the
track.
beginning of my turn, I
Very
get a
nice.
CP.
We do have Player
Alright.
of the Twilight on the shadows here, so he's going to be
that
able
was
to
extremely lucky.
regenerate some CP over the course of the game.
Liam was making quite a few of those last
I'm
game,
gonna
too.
go and kill this little.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, he went from
He's good at that.
he went from having 0 CP to getting
Pushes,
2
I guess.
immediately in one turn, which is very nice.
Looks like
Regenerating
we'll
one for the
kill
command phase and then spending it and getting another one back.
So, that trade,
So let's.
was that worth it?
I think
What
so.
do I need to do?
I
Alright.
think so. I
Because
think
you're,
that
you're throwing away this True Master as well.
Objective and do
yeah,
the data
but I
select.
mean, you're always going to throw away the Troop Master, and
So
I
for
think
2 points
interestingly.
for,
Almost
Yeah.
all of Liam's opponents so far have taken Assassinate as their secondary objective, and
points.
Jaime realized that is
You hold currently
usually
4
a
objectives.
trap,
I need
and,
to kill
um,
all of these players.
and has not taken it. So
Remove the
Liam
Star
can play a
Weaver,
little
which I
bit more
think is
aggressively with
also
his
a
characters
second
without
place.
fear of losing 3 points every time they go down. So I think he's fine with sending these Troop Masters out. They're not that expensive, and he's
Yeah.
definitely worth a lot of extra damage on the Wolfen.
So this is what I want to do this turn. Where's your 9-inch?
So while Liam's planning out his turn here, we can talk about the players' lists quickly. We haven't gone over them quite yet. And remember, tts40k.com/invitational has all of the lists for the entire elimination stage, as well as Jaime and Liam's list.
Yep, linked right under the video.
So this Space Wolves list is bringing in a single battalion detachment. Like we mentioned, it's led by Ragnar Blackmane. He also has a Thunderhammer Storm Shield Smash Wolflord, who he's typically upgrading with Saga of the Hunter. Looks like he's done that this game as well to give him the the ability to advance and charge, and then it creates that as an aura as soon as he makes one of those charges, which is very useful. Really, kind of insane threat range from that guy. We
Alright.
also have
Insane damage, too.
yeah, and just hitting with a Thunderhammer with a bunch of the ability to explode a bunch of your rolls is really good.
Oh, yeah, the plus one to hit.
In Space Wolves, yeah, like hitting on 2s with the Thunderhammer is like it's just the best feeling. Like, oh, 2s reroll 1s. It's almost 100% conversion on my giant 3 damage, big stick I'm gonna hit you with. We also have a Wolf Priest. Looks like he's been upgraded to have an ignore. Usually he takes a Wolftail Talisman on that guy, but not a lot of Psychers in this matchup. And I think that Shadow Seer is going to play far enough back that the Talisman's not going to be that big of a deal. Then we
Certainly
also-
less necessary.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's I mean, almost all of the games that we've seen Jaime play has been against the Chaos list, and that Wolftail Talisman is absolutely killer in that matchup. And but in this one, not so much. Your opponent isn't really relying on Psychic to deal a ton of damage. That said, it is a kind of a stealth benefit to this style of list. If you can bring some anti-psyker tech that isn't itself a psyker, then you open up Abhor the Witch for yourself.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that has
that's
been
what we've
key.
seen. That's big.
Yeah, in a lot of metagame matchups, that's been enormous. Almost any Chaos list will give up Abhor the Witch. Obviously Grey Knights, a lot of sort of Eldari soup lists, any Tyranids, basically. Those will all give up Abhor the Witch, and that's an easy 15 victory points
Oh,
you
yeah.
can get in a lot of matchups.
One of the easiest.
Yeah, it's insane. In the troops selection for this battalion, we have, like we mentioned, an Incursor squad, as well as 2 Auto Bolt Rifle Intercessor squads with Thunderhammers on the pack leaders. Each one of those is in each impulsor here. We have 2 units of Blade Guard veterans coming in out of Indomitus, as well as a Judiciar. So we're seeing a lot of the new Indomitus releases on the table for the Space Wolves.
I think the Blade Guard Veteran might be the sleeper hit. Eradicators are good. Eradicators on paper are phenomenal, but it feels like the Blade Guard Veterans have performed well out of their weight category in every game I've ever seen them in a way that, like, it's just unexpected. Oh, I guess everyone died.
Yeah, they fainted. It was too difficult. Space Wolves are giving up. Yeah, it's hard to sort of comprehend how annoyingly difficult they are to kill until you play against them. Because when you look at them, they look like, I don't know, like a aggressor squad with 3 guys in it, right? You're like, I've played against that. I'll shoot it with like some auto cannons.
Yeah, they're like a small Thunderhammer Storm Shield unit.
Yeah, yeah, but it's that 2+ armor save is just like, just go away. I just don't want to deal with you.
That 3rd wound is super awkward too.
Right, yeah, 3 wounds means that 2 flat damage doesn't kill them very easily. A lot of times, if you sink sort of big, high AP 2 damage stuff into them, like a Land Speeder Tempest, like they'll shrug one off the Storm Shield, and then the other one hits a guy for 2 and doesn't kill anything. And you're like, this sucks.
And there's a wrinkle in the Space Wolf adaptation of the unit as well that I love, and that is a little stratagem I like to call Lone Wolf.
Oh yeah, we've seen that in most of Jaime's games so far, where that Lone Wolf on the last Blade Guard Veteran Sergeant just creates this, like, just this Smash Captain level, like, annoying to kill guy. He becomes 5 wounds with a 2+ armor, 4+ invulnerable, and he hits for 5 attacks on the charge, hitting on 2s with full rerolls to hit and wound. Like, for 1 CP, like, that's a...
And he suddenly
really
picks up the character keyword. So if he is embedded with other units, he suddenly becomes untargetable, and you do not get a kill. Say you're taking attrition, like, you do not get the kill there. Say you're trying to knock him off an objective, and he's hiding behind something or near something, you lose the ability to shoot at him. There's just a lot of ways where a unit suddenly becoming full of characters becomes highly important.
Yeah, and yeah, usually there's an impulsor sitting next to those guys, right?
Yeah.
So, like, they that guy usually, 2 of those dudes die, and then you immediately Lone Wolf, and the last guy's like, "What's up, dudes? Okay, can't get me." Also 5 wounds. He's like a named character at that point. Yeah, chat. Yeah. Chiandok in chat calls him Ragnar Jr. Which is totally fair. He also becomes eligible for a lot of the Space Wolves stratagems to deal a whole boatload of damage.
You can fight on death.
Yeah, you can fight on death. And those Blade Guard Veteran, just the Relic Blades on those things, just a big AP, strength 5 for flat 2 damage, and hitting on 2s with the Space Wolves chapter tactic is just brutal.
Yeah, the sudden ability to heroically intervene 6 inches, which can be a huge gotcha if you've shot that unit down to 1 model.
Right.
And then suddenly it can just do that.
Yeah, and it is funny that they're like, you could use the strat to heroically intervene one of the units, and if the other one's Lone Wolf, he just does it innately. So, all these guys just explode into your army as soon as it's your turn. Kind of cool that they're in these impulsors as well, because not only does that make them they're too tired. Not only does that make them difficult to peel off objectives, because you can run the impulsor onto the objective, and then you have to kill the impulsor and kill the guys inside, right? If you do that efficiently to clear the objective, but you can, like, once you kill the impulsor, you can't really do it and then sit on the objective yourself, because these dudes inside are just going to intervene into you and kill you. And the same for the Wolfen. I think any of those 6-inch heroic intervention stratagems, like the Blood Angels one and like the like the Space Wolves one, I think are so incredibly powerful in 9th edition.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they've been a big hit in this series. The Salamanders 2d6 fire heroic intervention just creates this, like, almost infinitely deep mind game.
Yeah. Also in the elite choices here for the Space Wolves, we have 2 units of Wolfen, 1 unit of 7 with 5 Thunderhammers, 1 unit of 6 with 5 Thunderhammers. Yeah, nothing much to say there. They're just a relatively tanky unit that can absolutely dominate the center of the table.
Looks like we are performing the death ball with the Judicar here.
The Judiciary just chilling in the center. A perfect setup.
He's got his cool little wings going on here from that console. He looks like a boss.
He does look like he has wings. And let's hope that Jaime is placing him outside of 6 inches of his impulsors. Looks like he has measured that, actually. So that those Haywire doesn't just rip an impulsor off the table and kill the Judiciary when it explodes.
Oh, yeah.
And when it inevitably explodes.
Yeah, another one of the big things we've noticed throughout this tournament, vehicle explosions, especially 6-inch D6s, absolutely savage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, vehicle castles that we found out in the group stage have a glaring weakness. That weakness is called rolling 6 once.
Yeah. Yeah, it can absolutely go poorly for you, and we've seen so many vehicles explode, and none explode more spectacularly than Space Marine vehicles.
Yes.
All the Primaris stuff explodes for D6, which is just insane. And then obviously the last but not least in this Space Wolves list is those 3 Impulsors, one of which perfectly can fit 2 Blade Guard veteran squads, which have just jumped out with those assault ramps, and then an Intercessor squad and some characters go in the other 2, and just a perfect unit. Obviously, the way that that in the engagement rules work now in 9th edition makes these Impulsors actually a little bit more dangerous than people expect, because you can get in and block, flying units from falling back and shooting. Not these ones, but most of the time you can get in and block flying units from doing stuff, and you can get in and block psychers from casting psychic powers because they can't fall back and cast anymore. Just Impulsors, just like these really obnoxious units, just jetting across the table.
Especially in the matchups against the Nurgling Siege Chaos. It almost felt like they were just, the Rook saying checkmate. Once they finally managed to, bypass the Nurglings, and then just like snuggle up next to, a stack of Psychers or a stack of Whirlwinds, and it's just lights out the moment you can just, schlub this truck into close combat with the opponent's backline.
Yeah, for sure. And we have seen it just be annoying against, artillery, things like that. We saw 2 games in a row against the hottest takes list with 2 Whirlwind Scorpii, and these Impulsors just ringing. That
was the initiation of the talk out right there. It's you've sunk my battleship.
We've circled the wagons around the Hellforged Scorpii. Would you like to concede? Yeah, absolutely brutal. With just the raw speed of those Impulsors is just phenomenal. And if you don't kill them immediately, it's going to be obnoxious. Fortunately, there's a bunch of Skyweavers with AOR cannons on them, so I think should be fine. Should kill those pretty quick. Yeah. Speaking of which, let's talk about Liam's list.
Let's do it.
The Frozen Stars Harlequins here. It's a single battalion detachment.
What a beautiful army.
Can you fight on that?
Yeah, it's very cool. Certainly,
And then where's the one that does
a good one to look at, I think, as well. But we have the maximum characters in the HQ slots. We have a Shadow Seer as well as 2 Troop Masters. One of them bringing the Twilight Fang. Typically, I think that's what we have it upgraded with today.
Oh yeah, I think last game that Twilight Fang
straight up
picked up 6 aggressors, 5
straight
right
up
there
won the game.
in one turn.
Yeah, we were worried about a unit of aggressors on the table he has the Twilight Fang. Oh, and he has the the pivotal roll to deal mortal wounds as well, it looks like.
Yep.
Yeah, super terrifying guy. Comes in with like 9 or 10 attacks sort of in the mid to late game and just rips an entire unit off the table. Like, no problem. We have the in the troops selection here, we have 2 big units of 10 Harlequin troopers. One with 7 caresses and 3 blades. The other one with 7 kisses, excuse me.
Oh.
Yeah, all 7 of the kisses. We have 2 units of troops, 5-man troop squads.
It's very
3 of them with
affectionate.
kisses, or 1 with 3 kisses in it, just to be a little bit of an anchor, and then one with absolutely no upgrades whatsoever. Just 5 regular old Harlequins chilling.
Nope. 5 Harlequins. That's still 20, 25 attacks.
Yeah, it is good. It's good at clearing
solid.
chaff, but they're not going to be quite as effective against like sort of the toughness 5, the 4 heavy armor stuff. But if you need to go kill a unit of 20 idiots, they can do that. No problem.
They can smash into Wolfen. I mean, that's the difference between a Wolfen and an Intercessor is nothing when you don't have AP on your weapon.
Yeah,
just buzz right in there and hope that they roll bad.
Yeah, that is true.
Only 3 left. Could still happen.
In the Elites selection, we have a Death Jester being upgraded with Humbling Cruelty to prevent Overwatch and speed debuff whatever he shoots with his big gun. A Solitaire, who I think in all of Liam's games has never made it to combat.
This might be the one.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Although Liam has taken While We Stand We Fight, so I think this may be another one where the Solitaire just sits it out.
At least he's called the Solitaire.
I actually really like that. Yeah, it's true. It's thematically appropriate. I really like this pick on Liam's side of the table. Solitaires they're not bad characters, I think, by any stretch of the imagination. They do a bunch of damage. They throw really far. They're just sort of a cruise missile you can send in and blow something you really need to kill up. That said, I think
we will go
Liam has basically spent about 200 points in his list to just get like 10 to 15 points on secondary objectives. He has an extra Starweaver in his list that's just going to chill behind a piece of terrain in his backline. And he has that Solitaire. And he just sits them on the back of the stable edge. You have to kill all these bikers, you have to kill all these troopers, otherwise you lose the game. And if so, you typically don't have the beef to go scalpel out those backline models, and they'll just they're going to be scoring while we stand, we fight. That's it. That's all they do. And I think that's why we've never seen. I don't think I've ever seen anybody embark onto this this Starweaver for more than a turn. And the Solitaire has never made it into melee. I don't think he's made it at all in the entire tournament. So.
Torn poking at us for our tier list. I would still slightly defend it. Certainly, I would say Space Wolves were underrated on that. But one of my last lines in that video, I was looking forward to the very first GT being Orcs, Space Wolves, and Knights, and I was at least 1/3 right.
Yeah,
here.
we were 2/3 right? Because Orcs won one of them. Space Wolves killing it.
That was in Australia. You never know what's going on in Australia.
Yeah.
Their tier lists are upside down too.
Yeah, I mean they probably got to the final game, man, and there was an Orcs versus Salamanders or something, and the the Salamanders player got bitten by a spider and had to sit it out. I think is probably. Yeah, certainly some interesting meta over there in Australia for sure. But yeah, I think the community is wholesale proving us wrong in a lot of our tier list picks.
Oh yeah, that's the fun of the before any meta is proven out.
Man, the rampant speculation.
Oh yeah, it's nothing. It's just hot take after hot take after hot take.
For sure. We put Harlequins like sort of mid tier, I think, as well, and oh boy, that might have been wrong too.
Hey, I wanted them to be higher,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's fair. To finish out this Harlequin list, we have the 3 units of Skyweavers, 5 Skyweavers each, both with Haywire cannons and Zephyr glaives, so that they can pull double duty. They're good at shooting. They're especially good at shooting vehicles. We saw a single Skyweaver kill a Hellforge Scorpius in round 1, or a War 1 Scorpius in round 1 of the event. It's easy peasy. What an easy game. You just blow up a 250 point tank with it.
Roll 6s, win games.
Yep, easy. We also have 3 Starweavers in the dedicated transport slot, one of them being a While We Stand We Fight target, the other 2 just carrying these troopers around and about to be blown up by a bunch of Blade Guard veterans and stuff. Or probably Wolfen. The Blade Guard veterans can't charge. Going over to the secondary picks, we've touched on them a little bit. Liam taking While We Stand We Fight. That has to hit the Solitaire, one of the Starweavers, and the Shadowseer. The Shadowseer is the only one that I think is usually in a little bit of danger because it does have to be sort of far forward in order to project damage with its psychic powers and support people. That said, fortunately, the vehicle roll was changed just before this tournament, so the Solitaire could be blocked by the Starweaver, so he's not quite in mortal danger all the time.
Looks like we've got ABR Intercessors and Stormbolters off of the Impulsor firing at these backline players. One thing that the players are not good at, I mean, they may be great at surviving in close combat, but a Stormbolter or Autobolt Rifle, real good at just picking those guys up.
Yeah, for sure. As soon as you can sink hits through, it doesn't matter if what your AP is, so you might as well just be firing your highest volume weapon at those guys, and the ABRs are the perfect
would be
weapon off of the
range, so I'll just go to
the Intercessors.
2d3 shots.
We also have access, which Liam has sometimes occasionally considered using, but I don't think he's done it yet. We have access to Boltstorm on those guys, so they can just go in and automatically hit 15 times. And with the number of hit modifiers that the Harlequins have access to, that's sometimes an option that they might take.
Let's do the Intercessors. Intercessors are gonna shoot everything into these troops over here.
Over on so looking at the secondaries, we have engaged in all fronts as well for the Harlequins.
Hitting on 3s,
makes a lot of sense if you're going first and playing this aggressively. And then last but not least, deploy scramblers, which is an interesting one.
And
it's going to require him to perform a deploy scramblers action in both players' deployment zones and the center of the table in order to score 10 points for that.
4 die.
Which is going to be a little bit interesting. We'll see if he can maybe redeploy a Harlequin unit into the Space Wolves deployment zone to get that done.
Yeah, given the speed at which these
we'll kill that troop player.
Players are being trashed, I got to imagine that might just be forced out of a character.
Yeah, for sure. Over on the Space Wolves side, we also have engaged in all fronts. Again, they're both aggressive armies, and they're both going to be pretty good at scoring that secondary. We have Data Intercept. That's going to be the Vital Intelligence special special
Wolf
secondary,
for advance can
which
grenade.
is an
Ragnar
action
will
you can
toss a
perform.
grenade into the troop
At the
master,
start of your next command phase, you score
hitting
points
on a
equal to the number of
2,
objectives that you
wounding
currently
on
hold.
a 2.
So
one in one.
these incursors back on objective 6 can just perform that every game. They're very safe back there.
These Wolfen
And
have nothing to
basically,
shoot,
you're just
and
going
I
to be
believe that is
scoring additional points for
no
holding
shot
objectives,
or
which is
advanced.
Yeah.
pretty solid. It's all of the secondary objectives
This
that
guy already shot as well.
reward you for doing what
So,
you already should be doing are the ones that you should be looking to pick, and I
Do you
think
have
data
any
intercept is
ways
certainly one of
of
those.
making my charges more difficult?
Not really.
We also have deploy scramblers for the space wolves as well.
So these Wolfen
Which
will
is,
charge your
which is
Sky
interesting.
Weavers first.
Ciandrock correcting us. It is deploy scramblers here.
Attack,
You scrutinize this sheet.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's misspelled on the on the score sheet in TTS. Yeah.
6-1 heat charges. So
And chat correcting us, Scramblers specifies non-characters, which might make it a little difficult for the Harlequins in this game if they keep losing players at this rate.
That's a 2 and a
Yeah, for sure.
5, so that's a 7. They fail.
Yeah, there's
Rolling.
not a ton
It
of
is
infantry
like that.
units on the table for the
Yeah,
Harlequins.
So those Wolfen
They
fail
might
the
be
charge.
hard pressed,
That
but maybe
sucks.
the plan is to, if they can push
Smash
through one
Captain
of these
will charge
flanks, they can
into
sort
your
of sink
group
a
right
unit back, sort of backline, and get there. It's not like
7.
Harlequins are slow. Like they'll,
Yeah.
if they need to get there, they'll get there. It's just the question of whether or not once they get to that point in the game, they're
These
going to have the
Wolfen over
models
here
left
will
to
charge
be
a
able to
Star
complete it.
Weaver.
Exactly.
They go 8 inches. So what we need to do is have our thing. So this Thunderhammer is going to go right over here. He's going to go.
And it is worth
right
noting
over
that
here.
is a that's an all or nothing secondary, so you don't score.
Right over here.
You score 10 points if you've completed it 3 times, but in all the different deployment zones.
These two are going to.
But if you don't do that, you score 0 for it. So it's a little
Yeah,
bit
Jaime's
awkward.
emphasis right now on killing all of the players on the opposing side might just be a smart play to snip out a 15-point possibility and set him way up for the late game.
Yeah, absolutely.
They will swing into. Is that all of my charges over here? Nothing else can declare. Yes. So my smash
So
captain will fight first.
how do the Harlequins deal
damage,
with this
what's your
Judiciary
involved?
Castle?
4 up involved.
4 up in 1. I need you to. fill 2
There
of
may
these.
be positions
twos, moved on
that they can
twos.
get to where they can get outside of 6 inches of
I
the
will spend
Judiciary.
1 CP for.
Given how
Do they
fast
try?
Harlequins are, like I think they can get
Already had.
sort of the Blade Guard on
I hit
objective
you on
5,
twos.
and then they're going to be outside of 6
Well, that
inches of
was
that guy
overkill.
when they charge in there.
Only on 2s.
I think the play might be to just leave that 1,000-point death ball alone. It's a 6 objective map, and it can really only hold maybe 2.
Yeah. You also have to keep in mind that the
No. When I die, I'm going to use 1 CP. It's only to do D3 mortal wound to the
the Space Wolves, I don't think they can really afford to
Yep.
just sit on a single objective. They're going to
Yeah.
have to sort of split up if it's at some point, and that's the point where you pick whichever side
is
of the
down
table
to
the
4.
Judiciary is not on.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I will not consolidate. Who's the closest?
The
14.5.
Yeah, that's true that the
11.5.
Judiciary could get sniped by the Death Gesture, but I think
I will
that's
That'd
gonna
take
be
a while.
little. Yeah, that guy's not very good at killing characters. The fact that he can doesn't mean that he should. I think he's much better off
I
slowing
get to
down.
consolidate
Wolfen
6
and-
inches because Ragnar doesn't.
With that humbling
Ragnar
cruelty.
lets me consolidate 6
He's
inches.
almost more likely to kill
Within 5.
the Judiciary just with the exploding Shrieker shot than he is by
Cool.
shooting at it himself.
And then the Wolfen over here will smack you. Star Weaver,
Yeah, I think he really needs the relic gun. I think to have any chance of killing characters.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have that, then
5 hammers.
he's
These
just
hit on
bouncing
3s.
Some sort of
And they
middling
wound
damage
on twos.
shots off of high armor.
That
Yeah, it's a
many
good point too,
involves.
chat. There's a Wolf Priest also in that death ball who can heal him.
Just did blow up.
So trying to snipe that guy out is a no-go. He's a 5-1
Ooh.
Predator's Marine too.
You do blow up, okay. So how many mortal wounds?
Did it explode?
Oh.
It begins.
So 1 of my Wolfen, a 5-out.
Push a vehicle up
I
to the
take
middle
one.
of the enemy and just roll a
There's a
6.
Starweaver blowing up. on the,
He takes it, and then the other guys do not have Fiona.
Not the
Banks.
biggest
So
explosion.
the Blade Guard
no,
will
that is
take
funny
a
though.
one.
Send those Harlequin
Over here, we'll
bombs
do
in.
it. This guy over here. So down to 2. Intercessors lose 1.
It's one of those explosions where it's just like the bomb goes off.
Wolfen
Maybe,
lose
I don't know.
1.
Maybe someone gets hurt. Maybe someone doesn't. But everyone's just covered in glitter,
One mortal wound.
and you just can't get it
Wolfen
off.
lose 1. And the Judy card loses one.
Yeah, it's mortal wounds for.
Too far.
The mortal wounds are just from annoyance. It's not actual damage.
And that is the end of my turn.
What is that? That's a 3-inch D3 or a 3-inch 1?
I think it's a 1.
All right. Well, never mind.
Yeah, we can double check that. I'm pretty sure it's just 1.
Judicar is down to 1, and they haven't been rolling it, so I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 off an intercessor.
Do you need to do leadership on these troops back here?
Oh no.
Yes, I lose 4.
Yeah.
Looks like that's the end of the Space Wolf's turn.
Okay.
We have
And that should
secured
be
the center
the
of the board
end
pretty masterfully. Although I think we're gonna see probably this the Wolf and Unit on Objective 2. Probably, I imagine that they'll get sunk into by these Skyweavers.
Yeah, Tor mentioned that they failed the charge on the Skyweavers, which they definitely would have liked that. Although not as many Thunderhammers left in this squad. So not quite as dangerous for the Skyweavers as could have been.
My litany. Do I get up my 5 Finno Pin against mortals? Come on. I do! Cool. So 5 Finno Pins against mortals around this Wolf Priest.
So a good pick. Litany of Faith on the Wolf Priest there to get the 5+ ignore. Help those vehicles out. Basically gives you a free Armor of Contempt on those impulsors if you get it, which is very nice. And also helps against the Shadow Seer as well, who can kind of put out a bunch of mortal wounds if he needs to.
This Troopmaster, if he so chooses, has his choice of Space Wolf character targets. He could sink right over here and just sink Ragnar's whole battleship.
Yeah, the Troopmaster on Objective 1.
Yeah.
Who's ready to charge in. It only being... I guess it is round 3, so his Twilight Fang is probably doing pretty good. Or it is round... No, it's only round 2. Yeah, this is top of 2. So he might want to wait a turn or two for the Twilight Fang to go. And if he jumps in, then the Judiciary just makes him fight last and he dies.
Oh, not that break. It's sniping out Ragnar. This is the other.
Oh, you're right. On Objective 3.
It's a set of characters over here that are just...
They're just asking for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting too. I wonder if Ragnar could actually potentially intervene if something charges the Wolf Lord, because he does have to move all the way around these intercessors, which looks tough.
He'd have to go all the way around on the open flank as well. So if you just position to the bottom right, I don't think he could. Yeah. Although this other Wolf Priest probably could. Maybe, perhaps.
Yeah, chat. We do have Armor of Rust on the table. It is on the Wolf Priest as well. That's
and you can probably strat. I guess if you contact the intercessors, then they cannot, because they can strat, and then you can heroic with Ragnar.
So it is a good good positioning here by Jaime. He has the Wolf Priest. It looks like within 5 of the edge of the Wolf Lord's base. So if anything charges in, he's going to be able to intervene and jump over everything with his jump back. Yeah. And then Armor of Rust.
1 on 1 wound on the Wolf. Okay.
Correct.
So kind of he has a similar combo on both sides of the table. If you get within 6 inches of either of these chaplain characters, then they are going to end your day.
This entire matchup is such a puzzle for the Harlequins to try and unlock. Like, the initiative is fully on them to try and figure out how to break this wall of not being able to do what you do best, which is hit first and then leave. I'm gonna
freak out.
And then the Space Wolves are just having to maintain their castle and try and just prevent that puzzle from being unlocked.
Yeah, and it's important to note as well that this is one of the missions that requires you to hold 2 objectives to score 5 points and 3 to score the full 10, which means that if the Harlequins don't engage, they're not scoring any primary points. They're really falling very quickly behind on primary objectives.
Yeah.
They're advancing to get behind there. They have plenty of move.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes, I was there. I'm going to hold the advance, by the way.
McBray asking about no clock. This is the Grand Finals, and especially between 2 armies that require so much forethought on positioning, the clock was just... It's no fun.
Yeah,
you'll oftentimes see...
We gave the players the option whether or not they would use the clock, and they both decided that they didn't really want to.
Yeah.
Just given that this is the only game that we have left in the tournament to determine the winner, and we don't want it to come down to sort of players being stressed or making sloppy plays because they are running low on a clock. So
you'll often see clockless Grand Finals.
Yeah, so we're gonna play out the full thing, even if it takes a little bit of extra time. It looks like these players are going at a pretty good clip though, so I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal. But even if it takes a little bit extra time, we want the game to be as clean as possible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, oftentimes at large tournaments, the grand finals will be off the clock. I mean, there's no... In part, the whole point of the clock is to make sure that the next round of the tournament begins on time. And the clock is really a concession to the idea that you have to do it within a certain period of time. But like, it is the last game. You want it to be as good, tight, and interesting a game as possible. And you want the best show for every people.
For sure.
Do you guys use TP back?
Torin, is this the most concurrence that we've had? I think so. It looks like we broke 100 earlier, just a little while ago. And for everybody watching, I appreciate everyone taking the time to take a little bit of time out of their Sunday to watch this sick finals game of 40K. And for your trouble, we do have a giveaway. We're going to be giving away a $50 gift certificate courtesy of Miniature Market, one of our sponsors for the event. If you ! giveaway in the chat, there's going to be a form you can fill out you can submit to be eligible to win that. You just have to be a subscriber to the channel and throw in your email address so we can contact you. And that's it. Big thanks to Miniature Market for giving us that gift card for us to give away, and also all of our other sponsors. Especially big shout out to Discount Games Inc., who's giving away the grand prize, a whole boatload of store credit for one of these players, for both of these players actually, for winning. Discount Games Inc. Has a lot of excellent deals on miniature games, including Warhammer 40K and War Machine and Marvel Crisis Protocol. If you play any of those games. Certainly highly recommend Jay and the team over there. Those guys, it's an awesome team at DGI, and they're a great group. I'm really appreciative of them working with us. GameMat.eu, also a big sponsor, giving away a game mat to one of these players, to the player that wins this game.
Absolutely.
And if you like the content you're seeing here, I mean, they can come play with us, right, Trey?
Absolutely, yeah. There's a link in the description to come join the Discord server for the Tactical Tortoise, where we run a lot of the T5S2 tournaments. And you can join tons of different events. You can join standard pods, which are launching this week for Season 2, which are 16-player tournaments that run over the course of a month. And we have rapid fire pods, which are faster tournaments. We'll also have some more interesting events coming later this year, like some larger events, grand finals, or grand tournament, style events that will be run entirely online.
Yeah, there's enough 40K content there to get your fill, no matter how hungry you are.
He has an 18-inch red range.
This guy is going to...
Actually, that's not true because my Wolf Lord did the advance and charge, so now everyone gets advance and charge around. His saddle was completed, so he has a 18 plus D6, so 24.
You're measuring out the risks to Ragnar here?
Yeah, that's a good point from Jaime. The Wolf Lord did complete a charge on the Troop Master that was on Objective 3, so his Saga of the Hunter has been completed, and he now confers that benefit to all the Space Wolves within 6 inches of him, letting this entire block of infantry on Objective 3 advance and charge.
Oof.
Yeah.
I was telling you, that Troop Master, that was hanging that guy to dry.
Yeah, I mean, I think you gotta kill the Wolfen, right? Like, you gotta get rid of those guys.
Yeah. We're trying to protect the Shadow Seer as hard as we can currently, inside of his iron cage of bikes. What do you think's inside of these cryo chambers?
Probably some Primera Space Marines. The mission pool, we call this map Mechanicus Black Site. So we got some.
Yeah, I will spend a CP to deny a second power with my Wolf Lord.
Okay. I'm going to do a smite with the Dev Jester.
Solitaire, yeah.
6.
It goes off?
Yes.
And there's D3?
Yes.
D3 more wounds, and then you have also, what were the other powers? Warp time and a normal smite, right?
No, other smite, basically.
And the other smite is also in range, but not from the other two. Just
Okay.
I will not deny. Go ahead, D3.
Reese, looks like the Harlequins are facing a bit of an uphill struggle here. It does seem like the Space Wolves
I will put it on
have been able to project an immense amount of threat up the table.
And
that
then
said,
I'm going to do a second smite.
There's nothing in the Space Wolves army that punishes the Harlequins for playing a cagey game. And the Harlequins can certainly afford to hold a turn and try to use that turn to whittle down the Space Wolf's force.
The Shadow Zero.
Yeah, it has looked
into the Wolfen.
difficult
Yeah,
with the
the-
Harlequins in every game so far. But a lot of
Yeah,
meds
so
in them,
what's the
as they
strength of
are
this gun?
illusion.
Strength 6.
This is an army that can
Strength
clip
6,
out
AP,
half of an
0
entire
damage,
opposing
1.
force
So
in
can
one
you talk me through
combat.
the profile and what it does, please?
And it's just about finding the
Basically,
when and the
if I
how
hit, you
to
are
really
minus
initiate
2
that,
and you can
that like
roll.
decisive blow.
Cool.
I wonder if
do you do models with it?
Not with
I wonder if
this
Liam
one,
is
I
planning
use the
to confirm that Deploy
do you
Scramblers
have
is
another
planning to
You do not,
to
right?
keep that Harlequin player
No, no,
unit way in the
no.
back and then use the stratagem to deep strike it
So if you're
on
doing no
turn
models,
4
I would not
or
trust
turn
it.
3 or 4, and then deep strike it in the back of the the Space Wolf's lines and complete that Deploy
You
Scramblers.
hit, so I'm minus
I think that's
1.
probably the hope, and you know,
They will
probably
be
killing off the
this
impulsors
will
with the
be,
haywire to
3
try
up
and
involves.
heavily reduce the Space Wolf mobility so that they can't interfere with it.
Yeah, I
But
mean the
they're
Space
minus
Wolves
great
once they're out of,
openings.
I think that the haywires should theoretically just rip all these impulsors off the table really
yeah.
quickly. Although haywire is, I mean, the dice do go haywire when you're shooting haywire cannons. Sometimes you just bounce off stuff, but
And that is Armor of Contemptible, correct?
it is absolutely, yeah. Not to mention that we have Litany of Faith off from the Wolf Priest this turn, so this impulsor down by objective 3 is currently getting a free Armor of Contempt, and one of these other ones will probably get it when the haywire starts firing.
And Impulsor by Objective 3 is also within 6 inches of every character over here.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah, chat.
into-
You might have to zoom in a little bit. They are a little bit light
First,
on
I'm
the
going to
stream,
move
but
those
you
back.
can find the secondary
The
objectives
one
on the
with
player's score sheets right here.
Friends will shoot into those Wolfen
Yep.
and throw that into those ones.
Unfortunately, these new secondary objectives are so long. The font on the score sheet is a little
Those one
small.
are 6 because you have 6 or more models.
What do you think the difference is between a Scrambler and a
Minimum
Scrambler?
3 because I'm blast, yeah. So
Uh,
that would
probably
be
a-
3, 6, 9, 14 shots.
Like, is one just like the Amazon version?
4s because they advanced.
The Amazon.
Oh, these are not the ones that
scrambled.
advanced.
It's probably just one
these
vowel,
are
right?
3 ups. Okay.
You're probably correct there. Let's try to think of something to say. Nah, just nothing. That was just the straight truth.
Yep, that's me. There's no joking here. Everything I say is just the most boring and lame.
Yeah, we got Shum and a robot in casting today. Let's see.
Beep boop.
Yeah, it's just funny jokes about food and then some beep boops, and it's
Yeah.
just a good time.
Turns out, it was in one of those Mechanicus containment tanks. It was me. I broke out. So it's definitely a puzzle for Liam. I'm worried that these Space Wolves are going to start scoring their 15 primary points very quickly. Liam can come back in the late game if he's able to pick apart the Space Wolves army, but oh man, this is a lot of beef he's got to kill.
Oh yeah. It is. It's not going to be an easy fight. Picking a flank and hammer blowing it to the 9s, I feel like is
Who's this?
maybe his only chance, and then just
I can't hear you.
figuring out how to then
Hold up.
deal with the starfish exploding out from the other side.
Looks like we lost audio on one of the players here.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Trevi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I mean I can hear you. I can't hear Liam
you.
though. Yeah,
Yeah, I can't hear him either.
seems like we lost him.
Yeah.
Good
I
old
don't know
Discord.
what these spikes were, and I think there were 3 2s in there that he wasn't able to pull rolling.
Liam, can you pop out and join back in if you can hear us? Apologies, chat. We just got a technical issue we're gonna try to take care of.
Discord's keeping that. Did you try turning it off and on again? Meme alive because it works. Out of chat, Torin, am I right in thinking
I guess that's
faction-specific
not
secondaries
up.
are coming? Would not surprise me. I mean, that was the basis of Games Workshop's previous tournament mode. Trading cards out for perhaps more ITC secondary choices.
Yeah.
You and me
Can you
both,
hear us?
Torin.
I
But
can
since
see
Games
your
Workshop
green light
is
turning on, but I
already
can't-
deciding on all of
there we
these
go.
secondaries anyway.
There we go.
Sorry.
Cool.
So it was 8 save AP1 into the
Okay, we are back.
the wolf.
We fixed it.
Into the
We,
wolfen
we
over
turned
here.
it off and then
Okay,
we turned it
so
back
we
on.
have to take one at a time. One has no storm shield.
Perfect.
He makes one. These are 5-up saves. 5 Finopane. He dies, and then these will be.
Some talk about the faction-specific secondaries that
So he
are being
dies.
have been rumored
Gonna
in
keep
chat.
The Wolfpack leader.
Certainly, it is a fear of Games Workshop, just given their history of
I
perhaps
guess 3-ups are better than 5-ups.
not the most
So we'll take
well-tested
these
rule
two at a time.
sets
On the hammer.
as they are applied to their games. I think Maelstrom of War was
3-ups.
perhaps not everybody's
Takes
favorite,
5-up.
but
one,
one of the
takes
benefits
one.
of their new style of
3-up and.
you know
3-up.
rapidly FAQing or editing
5-up.
the rules on a seasonal basis is that if
Okay,
if
so
there is
only
a
the
secondary that
sergeant.
is just too good, that's pumping a faction up too hard,
Then
Can always be
those guys
fixed.
are going to put everything into those wolfen.
Yeah, I think
Sure.
Abhor the Witch may be a bit of a canary in the coal mine for that one.
don't
Very
think Slay the Warlord?
interesting, sort of fluffy objective, but probably
Yeah.
one of the least
You have
balanced.
7 dice there.
It's either literally untakeable or it gets you 15 points.
Yeah. It has not actually prevented heavy psychic armies though from showing up.
That's true.
So these become 3s.
But it makes it much
And
more
from
difficult to
performing.
play them, even if they're not quite the, the
Yeah.
top of the meta game.
plus 12. So 21, yeah.
Yeah, it's only one time.
So we just saw a unit of this Skyweaver
Four,
unit
so they had
fire
one,
their
one.
Haywires into the wolf and kill 2 of them. Only down to the pack leader on objective 2.
And 4s.
That is one of the concerns there. I mean, Haywire is effectively a bolter firing
And
into
threes,
a Wolfen model who's
shield.
effectively a tactical marine in that
It's a-
situation.
it's
If
a
you
D6
sink enough in,
bolter.
they go down.
You know, it's shooting
Oh.
potentially a
sorry.
bunch of times.
That's so obnoxious. That's so annoying.
Oh, it looks like the other unit just tanking
So
everything
then
from
charge,
the
so
this is the other
those
Skyweaver unit.
bike are going to charge
Interesting
the
that we're
Invitational.
not targeting impulsors, but if you do want to get rid of those Wolfen as quickly as possible.
So,
Sadly, you cannot turn a lone Wolfen into a lone wolf because a wolf is not a Wolfen.
Yeah,
you know,
they're
that's
not quite the
mutually
same, but a
exclusive.
Blade Guard veteran is, of course.
Yeah,
a
so
wolf.
you're good 2 inches.
Yeah.
one will lead to this man.
I mean, if you think about it the other way,
No, I can't.
maybe the solution to things like Tyranids or perhaps the underperformance of Mono Demons is, you know, just a secondary that gives you 25 points.
Some 6 secondaries
Yeah,
get
yeah.
25
Roll
points
that.
secondary.
Don't roll a double 1, man. Are you good?
Oh boy!
Eight
So
inches.
this looks like this is a charge from the Skyweavers into the Impulsor, having to get through that grav field, and that's going to let them potentially bounce over the Impulsor here, and then use the Curtain Falls to fall back into the Space Wolves deployment zone.
Careful, you wanna be
Yeesh.
inside my impulse.
What a sick play!
You said
know
earlier these are cursors perfectly safe, and I wasn't so sure about that one.
Yeah, maybe they'll kill the Skyweavers with their cool bolt carbines. I don't know. We'll see.
Charges?
So I will
Super cool. Yeah.
Nick
so-
Bray,
Wait, wait,
Nick Bray, that would be a
wait,
0
wait.
point.
At the beginning of the fight phase,
Secondary,
at the
no
end
one
of
would
the
take
fight
that.
Not within heroic intervention here.
Summoning a demon.
You are here.
Ooh, we might heroically intervene with the
Vice
intercessors.
CP to hit you with my.
Do we
But,
want to
I
do
don't-
that
it
though?
doesn't seem to me like they're going to get the
After you
opportunity
hit,
to swing.
you'll stick here.
Heroically intervening makes you an eligible target for attacks, and that would just
I
allow the
will-
Skyweaver squad to
Yeah, to do
just
something.
kill half the squad.
CP, I just get extra,
But they do get a bunch
Out
of
of-
extra board position as Jaime's measuring out right now.
but then you hit
um,
them. And
Well, I mean, they don't want the board position. They want to cluster around this Judiciary like
I
a.
guess only
Well, it
one
gives them the
separate
opportunity
player
to
will be
charge
able
onto
hit it.
objective
Great hug.
1 and potentially knock out some
Yeah,
of
I
these
was
other
gonna
Skyweavers.
CP
So they're gonna do it.
I mean, if it was the Wolfen, I would agree. This is just Interceptor Squad,
I'm then.
There's a
13
Thunderhammer
against
in there.
27 inch charge. Yeah, I will
Well,
spend the CP to heroic
I
intervene
suppose.
with the intercessors.
And I don't believe that we have any defensive
So,
buffs up on these Skyweavers
we'll
besides their
go,
-1 to wounds in the
6
shadows
inches
here.
Yeah.
So
Just instead of an inch.
they could actually get plastered a little bit by an
And we'll go
interceptor
6
squad
inches.
charging.
As such.
Yeah, yes, I just you use one CP strat, I use one CP strat to get the CP back. I have.
Okay, cool.
We regenerate another CP from Player Twilight.
So one of these Skywars would be able to hit him.
We're 2 for 2 for that so far, I think, right?
If if you
What a
want.
sick warlord trait.
I mean, he's like 8 for 8 of that. For that
Yeah, over the
two
course
games.
of the tournament, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good warlord trait when it happens literally every time.
Hitting on 3s.
Yes.
Hitting on 4. AP.
1, 2,
1 dice.
1.
Boom. So one of those
So, I
intercessors
will
gets its head cut
kill-
off.
Only one
This
though.
Right here.
Are we gonna pull them out of
Myself out of
combat? I
Fighting.
guess it doesn't really matter.
And do the impulsor.
Yep. 5.
There's a lot of wounds in the impulse. Oh no, that's just actually
Two
it was
4-ups.
terrible rolling impulse. Just kidding.
I
It's a lot
take
of hits.
both. I take
More
4
damage.
damage.
Yeah,
I
takes
go
the one
down
case.
to 7.
So where
and I
did
get
all that haywire shooting skipped these impulsors completely?
Yeah, he sent everything into Wolfen. Unfortunately, the Wolfen just shrugged it off. All right, are we gonna curtain falls these guys?
I imagine we have to. That is not where you want to stand.
Yeah. This is an interesting situation where normally the Space Wolf's threat range, while it's relatively long, it's not super long, right? Like there are no Harlequins, there are no sort of
Yeah.
like Eldari or Tyranids are both going to massively outpace them, but it is long enough that that they can reach back and touch stuff that gets back into
Can
their
you move
deployment
the
zone. You know,
distance to the
you're
wood?
probably looking at reasonably
sure.
around 17 or
This
18 inches with these
is
Wolfen.
12.
The risk there, though, is that at that point you're abandoning the Judiciary. You're leaving the back of
Right, level, like,
this
rotate
unit
like
stack
level across
over on this objective to just get scythed out by the
press
third
escape,
Skyweaver squad. Like,
Yeah, and it
if
is
you send that unit
interesting
back, it's a danger.
that opens up the opportunity for Liam to
Oh,
no.
keep.
No, at least we know exactly how they're
It's
positioned.
only-
Yeah,
It's
they
reasonable.
were outpaced with the impulsor, so that's easy.
Yeah.
That's fine. We know exactly
But
where
it opens up the
Almost
Liam
here,
to be
then
able
just
to
there,
interrupt into a
almost
curtain
here,
falls
just outside of
if
my
something
impulsor,
comes into
right
him.
there.
And you know, you probably want to swing with Wolfen first, so
Yeah.
that doesn't happen
No
to
problem.
them.
You're good.
And that means you could just be losing
So
intercessors
16 inches.
for
What do you want?
just a couple CP.
Here.
Looks like we're gonna pull back actually with this unit and not charge into the opponent's deployment zone.
And that is kind of a challenge to the Wolfen now to break out of their defensive formation and come in. I don't know that I like that they're positioning these next to the rest of their force, though. I would have liked to see the Wolfen forced to pull backwards. But, I mean,
like we said, right? The way that the Harlequins have to unlock this Space Marine army is by forcing it to split apart. And then, like, if these Wolfen have to come back, you could potentially just be Twilight Pathwaysing another one of these Star Weaver units to kill them, and then curtain falls like back in the deployment zone. And then, you know, once you've taken basically both Wolfen units off the table, like now you have a lot more free reign to run around. Whereas as it stands,
So there's nothing I can hit, nothing I can activate because they did not charge.
I mean, they're just gonna get
No leaderships to
killed
be
by
done.
by
One
Thunderhammers
wolf
probably.
left here.
Although only, I mean,
Okay.
we still have
So
the
the beginning
CP
of
for
my combat phase, I'll
the
get
interrupt into
CP,
curtain falls,
I
so
will
we
get
could
15
see
points of
only
primary.
one thing swing into
I
those
will get,
Skyweavers, and if
5
they
points
roll some good
on
invulnerable
data
saves,
intercept,
they could
so
just
the
kill
profile
something and
will
leave combat in the Space Wolf's turn, which is not too bad.
Yeah, as we've seen on that first turn, sometimes you just roll hut on your saves, and then that just changes the follow-up course of the game.
6-inch charge.
Yeah,
So we're gonna advance that smash
we're coming right down to it. This entire Spaceless army is about to descend on
He's gonna
objective
go
1,
1.
and it all comes
So
down
that's
to whether or
13.
not these
I am
Harlequins can
probably
fight their
gonna
way
see
out.
this.
And if they can, Harlequins, like a lot of the very mobile units or armies in the game, if they
I'm
are
gonna
able
CP
to
reload.
win that
Just gonna
defensive
CP.
fight, they explode out of their
Does he
deployment
go any
zone and
He
just
goes
crush
one
you on
more
points. The downside is if they lose, they have already been crushed on points, as we're scoring 15 for Jaime on the primary objective.
That leaves me with
Would you have
a-
expected this game to be in the state where the Harlequins are all still in
I will declare both.
their deployment zone when the Space Wolves have crossed the entire board to assault them there? That feels like such an about face for
I'm
the,
gonna be
the
honest
normal
with
standard
you.
way.
I think so.
That might be true.
Because the way Liam has played all of his games, like we were mentioning before, is that he
So
just
go there.
sits, you know,
That
Skyweavers
charge
in the back of his deployment
is
zone and uses them to anchor the game.
9
And he tries to
inches.
keep the Skyweavers sort of as far away from your models as possible and force as many favorable fights for him as he can.
Oh, giving up that troop master is coming back so hard right now.
Charge to there.
Because
We
the
would
Wolflord
want
can
to
advance the
reroll
charge
that, so the
anyway.
Wolfen has to leg it up.
He can do it all the time.
I suppose.
That is a tough charge, though. That's like a 9-incher, I think.
The Wolfen will have
Maybe an
to
8.
leg up to give him rerolls, unless Ragnar will not be
Probably an
within
8-inch charge. to get into that pocket. That would be
saw
so
Trigger
clutch
Measure.
if he
Double
got
check
in
that
there and
actually
Thunder
is
Hammered
charged.
that Shadow Seer down. Oh no.
That guy is absolutely vital.
Not like this, Harlequins.
So-
Not
he
like
left-
this.
He did the defensive formation too, but left just enough room.
Yeah.
6 in charge here.
Yeah,
Oh.
interesting that
Them.
these millimeter placements
These
have
guys
kind of
can
hurt
move to
both
get
players.
line of sight on here unless they move from one to
We
one
got the
first.
Harlequins into the Wolfen behind this wall on
And
the top
this
of
guy
one,
needs
and now we may
so
see
let's advance
a
this wolf in all the way to the bottom.
we may
I'm liking
see
this-
this Wolf Lord get into this little area, this little
For
pocket.
2 inches.
I'm liking the check on the intercessors here to check their range on these back players. Like,
To here.
it,
and all I
it feels
need
like
is
at top
6.
of mind for the Spatials right now is just clipping out all of these infantry models that can score that secondary.
Yeah, that's a really good point. They will probably be behind
he now
dense
gets
cover,
moves.
which helps a little bit because they aren't innately -1 to be hit.
Unless they spend a strat, and then
These
Unless
Wolfen
we
will
might see the
advance.
Bolt Storm come out.
Yeah.
We do only have a 21-inch threat range on that Bolt Storm, which we are inside exactly with these intercessors. Oh
For
no!
2
Oh
inches, so they
no!
can move their basic
Not like
set.
this.
not like this. Uh-oh.
We'll see how it goes. We're only down to 5 CP for the Space Wolves, so that might be a little bit a luxury he can ill afford, but we'll see. Are we not advancing his weapon right now?
Such.
I mean, we don't want to outrun the Judiciary.
Yeah,
That would
that's-
just be
that's
a-
also- yeah, that's true.
like a
Yeah,
savage
that
display
is a-
right
That
there.
is a good way to lose the game pretty quickly. Also, yeah, Torin,
This
really good point,
closer
reminding us of the
move to
first game
here
of the
to shoot
quarterfinals,
them.
where
So these
literally
intercessors here are gonna
Nick Rose misplaced 2 assault intercessors so that they were 1.2 inches apart instead of
line of sight on
1.1,
those troops.
and that allowed a unit of Repentia to kill 10 intercessors.
Ragnar needs
rather
to go
than
into
just
here,
5.
So do these intercessors.
And almost gut Nick's backline.
unless these
in one turn.
intercessors want to stay back and hold objective.
Really, you have to be. I mean, you have to know sort of your
Blade guard
options
could
in
come
those
in as well.
in those situations
Blade
to
guard
know
will
like
have
whether you can try to
much
sneak
weighted turn.
those
Blade guard.
minuscule advantages out
See,
from
the
your
Blade guard
opponent.
could do the telemetry, right?
And
So
that is a sign of a good player that you like.
So 9
You're
inches, completely
constantly
shut down here, so I have to go
analyzing
here.
where your opponent's models are positioned, and not just sort of seeing them as amorphous blobs, but kind of
they can plant.
the exact positioning of where the units are. And with lots of smaller units now in 9th edition than we had in 8th, I think that skill becomes even more important as we're going to move into this new format.
Is this a Space Wolf
So we'll
outflank
go to
here?
This little pocket right here.
Oh, it is.
I thought these guys were in a transport. I had no idea.
We may have
Advantages.
misreported that earlier.
Oh, whoa!
Getting me engaged on the front as well.
That
So
changes
basically, they would be doing the thing in your
certain
zone.
things.
These guys will have to wait to do it in the middle ground, and they can plant do the data to data into.
Okay, so we are
So this is
scrambling
set up
with
over
this Blade Guard
here.
veteran
So now we
unit.
have to decide what to do.
Despite their Baroque and medieval style armor, they do know how to
get me much.
set up highly technical equipment, which is good.
14, unless I'm.
Yeah, man, when you have a weird skull on your shield,
What a sick
card
move
for
from
charge.
these from
Yeah.
Enemy. Outflanking Blade Guard veterans. What? Not a unit that you would typically want to outflank, I think. But man, that deploys scramblers on both
the
players'
Judy
sides.
car,
We're gonna see some
either
crazy plays come out to do that.
6.
Just like we saw in the group stage where Wolf on Mibu Tide of Traitors, a unit of
Yeah, 4 CP,
Chaos
you can
Cultists into his
interrupt,
opponent's deployment zone
fight, and then
on the bottom
bounce.
of one
It's 3 CP to
to
interrupt,
deploy
2 CP to
scramblers at
bounce.
them.
No, 2 CP.
how great is it that we have gotten to watch as players have become better and better at eyeballing distances in
interrupt
TTS?
bounce.
That's one of the most difficult things starting out in this this format of 40k. It's like you lost that natural ability to just recognize how far something is, and at this point, you're like, people are just calling out 3.1 inches on coherencies.
yeah.
They're calling out like, I can fit a 98mm base in the middle of that tiny spot.
Yeah. As the community gets bigger and gets more advanced in Tabletop Simulator, yeah, we're certainly going to be seeing that. It does help that it's a 3D system, so it
yeah.
very much looks like an actual tabletop, and you can sort of comparatively measure things compared to each other. If it was an isometric system like Vassal, I think that's impossible.
6.
Given that it pretty roughly approximates an actual tabletop, it's a lot easier to pre-measure. Alright, it looks like we're just going to be throwing a bunch of like 8 and 9 inch rerollable charges into this Harlequin's army and seeing what sticks.
In charge, or do we advance in positioning? We will.
Yeah, chat. It's like isometric is like seeing. It's like trying to guesstimate with one eye. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
One eyeball that cannot move.
Right.
Strategic reserves cannot early on in the game, but Space Wolves have an outflank stratagem of their own that does allow for it.
Yeah. Yeah, so the standard strategic reserve stratagem cannot go into your opponent's deployment zone, but any of the other ones can. So like encirclement out of the off of White Scars or the Space Wolves specific one as well. Sometimes theirs is a little more efficient as well because it's only 1 CP to outflank anyway.
Yeah. It's a single unit choice, so it's excellent when you're outflanking, say, like a 400-point unit that would otherwise be 2 or 3 CP out of the base. Yeah. Although
like
it is also 1 unit, so you
like
can
a
do
big, like a repulsor with a bunch of stuff in it. That,
oh yeah, who would do that? Who would outflank 2 repulsor executioners?
Or maybe even 3.
Yeah. What a strange.
What a weirdo.
Yeah.
Go
Strange person.
You can't reach this objective with him. Can with him. That's okay with me. So I'll use the impulsor to block off this objective once I move all of this. Do I need my intercessors? Do I just put them back into the impulsor?
Can you imagine the Space Wolves just busting out of one of these like cargo containers? The clowns are over there just looking at it. They're like, "What?"
Maybe that's what was in the. That's what was in the containment units all along. It was just Wolfen. The Wolfen didn't actually deploy on the table.
I guess if I can shoot a Skyweaver,
they breached right through the edges of those things.
They're always minus.
They'd be like sitting in there for weeks, just like waiting.
Belisarius Call is working on those Primaris Wolfen in there, and they're ready. They're ripe for the picking. We did in previous game we had to scale these Wolfen up. The models off TTS off of the workshop.
I've got enough going into here. Ragnar does not need to be exposed.
And so we had to scale them up.
I will embark. I will this Wolf Priest.
Put them on 40 mils. And man, when you scale up these Wolfen models, they are scary looking.
Yeah, none of these new metal drummers are beneath like 6'4".
Oh yeah. They are a full head taller than any Primaris on the table.
Yeah.
And this Wolf Priest with armor of brass will.
Just resetting my camera here, chat. I do apologize.
Or stay here. So I don't want you popping this. Don't care. The only thing I'm worried about is charge.
Pivotal
You will
turn
interrupt
here.
fight, kill him. Because you don't kill these guys. Yeah, I will just move him right here.
Okay.
Positioning the Wolf Priests.
Cool. That will be
really
all of my
really good plays from
onto shooting these intercessors. Will shoot everything into the troops.
Body block as much of objective 4 as possible.
I believe
so there's no
there's
access
still
to
5.
it to contest it.
4. 1 died.
Yes.
Why is there only 4?
Same on 3 while protecting the Wolf Priest
When
from
the
any
bike fight.
sudden dash-ins
Cool.
by
Okay,
Skyward
so
bikes.
this is only 12 shots. So
You may come to
15
regret not firing
minus 3.
all of that haywire into these impulsors
hits
because they're performing
on
such a pivotal role in just controlling where the engagement's going
and
to
they
occur.
won 3s.
For sure. Yeah. And even shooting it into Wolfen, I mean it's
That
nice
many?
to do, but
Yeah.
oh man,
4-ups.
does it bounce off sometimes and just like
More
it did in
dice.
that last turn.
Yeah.
Cool. Wolfen will do their assault 2d3 into him.
It's not 12 and just like we.
Oh, actually, I won't have
yeah.
Lancer. Yeah, I won't have Lancer on the one. So I won't bother shooting him. Yeah, you're good. I will shoot the Wolfen into these.
I do love that the Space Wolf list has some of the
bother
frag
shooting
launchers
at
on
all.
these Wolfen squads.
Yeah.
Because it had extra points.
Like
And,
little awkward
I
little
don't want
underslung grenade launcher.
Yeah. Oh man, are these Wolfen not very good at shooting those?
No.
We'll shoot.
No, it's like giving the
I'll
Hulk
shoot
a
the
gun.
into the big unit in the back. 2d3.
They'll
5.
just like end up throwing it at your
Hitting you on
opponent.
6s because they advanced.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. The back impulsor is out of range. This impulsor will shoot into
Withering firepower from the Space Wolves.
rapid fire into the Sky. We were
Entire
here with
Space Wolves
the
over here. I think we've killed one Harlequin player.
He probably doesn't want to swing that high on these shots
shoot
because then he
into
just
4
loses
shots
these
into one
front
in the
2
back.
Skyweavers. Then the Judiciar's
4 shots.
out of range himself on his aura. The
hitting
Wolfen have a
on
much more difficult
4s
charge.
because you're -1 to be hit.
I'm not even sure he has the volume
And
of
wounding
firepower to kill
on
2
probably
Skywavers.
5s. 1 wound. 1
He has
4.
like 8 Stormbolter shots
Yeah.
and some pistols.
That is
You good?
10 bullets.
Cool. That will be all.
Jen,
volunteer.
to answer Reese's question, all of the current FAQs are in play for this one.
Yep.
We had the list lock for the elimination games was a couple weeks ago, or for the group stage games, excuse me, was a couple weeks ago. So those all used sort of the rule set as of the end of July. But on Thursday, we had the players gave the players the opportunity to resubmit their lists, and we brought all of the new FAQs in. A couple of players actually entirely just switched factions going into the elimination stage. Neither of these players did, and these players mostly stayed with relatively the same list. Although we saw the Wolfen come in exchange for some guns.
And we saw the Incarn switched out from the Harlequins.
Yeah, the Harlequins did have a couple Yunari models in the Incarn, and basically traded her for an entire Skyweaver unit, which is a pretty good trade.
It's a good trade, though the Incarn might have been quite a powerful piece in this particular matchup.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, these Wolfen swing in, just completely buff it as Skyweaver off the table,
7.
and then the Incarn just pops out of it, walks behind them, and snipes out all of their characters.
7. To here.
Great timing on that
7.
FAQ release as well. Like, perfectly in the mid-stage where players could then react.
Yeah.
7.
It's like 2 days before the news list submissions went in.
Yeah.
7. What I want to try and do is get the wounded one all the way at the front with paladins. 7.
It's like we made our charge, and we are still within
And
range of the
7.
Justiciar.
Yeah.
Although I don't think we need to be within range of the Justiciar
7
in this scenario.
here.
Yeah, they are charging, and
7.
the interrupt stratagem
I'll go
will
here and see what, so they will have to go here.
override the Judiciary's aura. So
And aside from that is I guess.
Although
this
that does
will
mean if he
try
goes
and
first
charge
with the
into
Wolf Lord.
Skywavers, 'cause why not?
Or, yeah, I suppose it doesn't matter. He gets the interrupt either way.
7.
Oh, this Wolf Lord.
Something's
The
gonna
Shadow's
interrupt.
here.
He gets to reroll for himself.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we interrupt with the
Cool.
Skyweavers
So
and
Wolfen
just
stays
hope
right
we
there.
kill that Wolf Lord, like, please.
Okay,
Yeah.
at the beginning, any heroic interventions that you would like to do, I
Please.
believe that is all of my charges.
Pray to the laughing god here that we can just get that guy out
So,
before we
beginning
lose
of
the
fight
Shadows
phase,
here,
I'm
because
gonna
that could be
spend.
brutal.
I'm gonna go ahead and activate the Smash Captain. I'm gonna spend 1 CP for exploding attacks and 1
Laughing
CP
God's
for
name,
rerolling walls.
Kagarok. Perhaps
gonna
not
put-
laughing too much right now.
Feeding into her. What's her
Wolf Priest
in
going
1
first into the Shadows
Yeah.
here?
That seems like the smart choice.
Oh, is it? You get an interrupt into
So,
a
5
curtain
attacks.
falls off of the Skyweavers.
Do
They
I
can just
put
peel right out of
everything
there.
into her?
Oh,
It is
you're
a
right.
big deal.
Oh.
I mean, what's the alternative
She's
here
one
would have
of
been
them.
for the Skyweavers
Reroll
just to kill this guy. I mean, maybe the play would have been not to go in with 2 units.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta eat it, right? Like, either you don't charge with your whole melee army into their whole melee army, or you just you make your opponent spend all their CP and they get one turn of doing this. And remember, the Wolfen will swing on death if the Skyweavers kill any of them. So
Yeah.
they could potentially still be doing damage to that unit.
And your interrupt doesn't matter, right? Like if my Judicar making you fight last doesn't matter because you can interrupt.
Yes.
Yeah, I will select this unit even though it does not matter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
suddenly
they're
I'm
discussing
not as big a
interaction.
fan of this dual charge.
Well, I mean, it does bleed your opponent for all their CP. So
It also bleeds you of your Wolf Lord.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, potentially you could lose a couple Wolfen and the Wolf Lord, and
Yeah.
you're hoping that the Intercessors can bring it back around to being good, and I don't know, we'll see. Hitting on 3s with that Intercessor Thunderhammer is pretty nasty.
Yeah.
For level 7.
Cool. So I get to reroll wounds against her. So I will put everything.
Oh wow,
Ah,
Seeking a Saga on
No,
the Wolf Lord.
I look at it. No, I guess it's. I'm not. I guess there is an update, but I guess yes, you can reroll everything.
Okay.
Because you're 5.
Yes. So I wound you on 3s. I will spend the.
How
so
tricky
hitting 5
is
attacks,
this game
hitting
right
on
here?
2s. Everything explodes.
It's difficult to charge into the Wolfen, but also
Wounding
it's
you on
difficult to
3s
charge on
because you're
massive of the
-1 to be
Skywavers as
wounded.
well.
Can't believe a
Rerolling
Shadow Seer is
everything.
more power level than a Wolf
Cool.
Lord.
That
with a
many
jump
invulns?
pack. Like, what?
Is he still? Oh no, they have not
Yes.
released the new power level book.
Yeah, he's only a
Oh, that was
6.
an FAQ.
He's only a 6 power
Yeah.
level with a jump pack.
Mm.
I get a
kills the
CP for
Shadow
killing a
Seer.
character with a Space Wolves unit.
No.
Oh, I didn't do it on the troop over here.
Well, I mean, his saga's probably about to end anyway, but
Well, we'll see. I mean, if there's anything that can bounce a bunch of random Zephyrglaive attacks, it's the Storm Shield.
Yep.
yeah, and also a fight on death wouldn't be
Yes, I
too
kill-
terrible
kill-
there
I
either.
just have to kill with a Space Wolf unit in combat, but I forgot. This is
The Wolf Lord will just kill half the Skyweaver unit on the return.
because I just remembered.
No, that.
Ooh.
Okay.
We're gonna evacuate these
would you like to
Skyweavers right
interrupt?
now. We gotta get out of here.
I'm thinking.
Bit of nice sportsmanship from the players there. Jaime realizing that he didn't use knowledge of the foe when he killed the Troop Master back in earlier in the game. And Liam offering him a take back there to give him a CP. And
So,
he declined.
2 CP.
He said, no, that's okay, I forgot.
The professionalism. This is the
I'm
kind of
going
play
to
you see.
fight everything
in
into the Wolfen, I guess. I guess I'm going to killing first.
Yeah, here comes the Skyweavers. Now,
Even
there is an
like
argument here
this.
not to pile in the Skyweavers, right?
It wasn't
Oh yeah.
good.
Do almost no damage.
Yeah,
Leave.
mention.
Do suffer nothing on the return.
And you can even, I think you could pile 1 or 2 into the intercessors, which could be really bad if you go this around.
Mhm,
Yeah.
So one cannot fight, I guess.
Okay. 4
If
good
you-
to hit.
If you just randomly peel that
So,
intercessor
12
unit out, like this
attacks.
turn is a blowout if you
Yeah.
can kill that Wolf Lord. Like
But
that,
it does
that
not-
just swings right back around.
Yeah. Oh, that's assuming the Wolf Lord does not then fight on death and kill this entire Skyweaver squad.
Hitting on trees.
That's fair. He might just do that.
I guess
you're
the...
right.
No.
He also might just not die.
So,
That is
There is a will.
Could just
also
make all his
case.
own
Yes, the
moves.
guy
yeah,
who
you want to
cannot
keep,
fight is
keep
going-
him back
That
there.
might be
too.
the better case, because then the Skyweavers leave combat, just shoot him.
So hitting on trees. And running on 4 is rolling.
We're in range of the remaining Troopmaster for rerolls on their wound rolls. Only 4 going through on the
Okay.
Space Wolves.
So there's
Wolfen.
1-on-1 wound I need to do first. So does he die? He does not. Is he gonna be a legend?
Oh no,
Did I
he's gonna be a
jinx it?
legend, it seems.
Oh,
Oh no.
Oh, he
one
dies.
goes through.
Actually, no, 2 damage.
Yes.
So,
We might
5
kill
ups.
one guy.
He dies because he was on 1 wound. He will
Yeah.
now get to fight before you bounce out,
Although this guy can turn around and kill
hitting
4
you
back.
on 3s
Uh-oh.
and wounding you on 2s.
Oh,
That many invulns,
Oh no.
Yes.
good thing they have a 4+ invulnerable.
1 back dice.
1 die.
And 1 open dice.
Yes, I'm going to use my 2 last CP.
Oh,
to
they must have had the 3+ invulnerable save.
move
Go
it
away.
as it was
Yeah.
my move. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was. I was like, oh no, I just peeled 2 bikes out.
I think it-
Ugh.
Okay, there we go. And then this
See ya.
maneuver move back. And this is actually a pretty scary play at this point, because this Space Wolf backfield
Okay.
is about to vanish.
Yeah,
I
they
will
can
then.
run in,
So they
blast
get to
impulse
activate and
artillery,
consolidate,
and
but I don't think I'm
Incursion
gonna.
Squad.
Because they're
I don't believe that
good where
Incursion
they
Squad,
are.
importantly, has deployed
So
scramblers
these
yet this game.
intercessors will
So
activate.
you have to
go
then turn
3.
around like a Blade Guard squad and go back to
Yeah.
deploy scramblers in your own deployment zone if they lose them.
Such.
How
I
tricky
guess what I'll
is this
do
game?
is.
Oh, this game is so sick.
It doesn't matter because you will be able to activate and grab. Okay, so they're
Big
gonna
shocker,
swing.
The Grandfinals.
There's no
of
wounded
a
Skyweavers here, so
tournament series with like
Thunderhammer
350 people, and it was good.
4 attacks, hitting on 3s,
It always. Oh, I mean,
and
at least in 9th
wounding on
edition.
2s.
I don't know, in 8th edition, there's those
It,
mirror match iron
Falcon
hands.
ones?
But these days, we've got some like
Yes.
just 2 jujitsu masters just
One
tumbling
dies.
down here.
One
Yeah.
Skyweaver goes down to the Intercessor.
Three
bad.
dudes
Oh,
hitting
how-
on 2s,
I so wish that we could have
and
had a
wounding
Skyweaver
on
just
4s
peel
because
into
you're
an each of
T4.
them. Rip
Yeah.
that unit off. That would have been such a big deal.
That many, no AP.
Okay.
Yeah, chat. There's a there's a wolf priest.
What's
on
your
Objective
arm
three over here.
Needs to
Safely nestled in
also another die.
the
Amazing.
you know, the
Okay.
warming embrace of
And
this
that is
impulsor.
all
So you do
of
need
my
to put
units
2
to
models
activate,
on
and
the,
they
on the
do
objective to contest it, 3 to
consolidate.
control it. I guess they
So
could have maybe
the
grabbed
the 9
it,
attack into them.
but I don't think the Harlequins have any objectives right now. So
Force
even holding
AP,
1 with that Skyweaver unit would not
Rerolling because of
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I don't believe they have objective secured
Good
on this.
conversion.
So AP2.
Yeah, no.
AP2, these are 5 ups. They're all dead. That was
Okay,
worth a
well,
try.
there goes the Intercessor squad.
Yeah, I was
Alright.
not feeling
Okay.
too great about that charge.
Let's see
And
how
then these guys over
Skyweavers
here
do
get
onto
to
onto the Wolf Lord.
Yes.
They did pick up 2 Skyweavers actually. That's not bad.
Yeah,
You can bleed Skyweavers down to a point where they become combat
Okay.
ineffective.
for sure. Yeah, they are expensive and not that hard to kill.
Oh man, this fight on death
Nothing
could end up being so
very
nasty
good.
if they just like
No,
kill this guy.
out.
Yeah, or just an under the chapter, right? Just a regular
Yeah.
fight, double fight. They are, I think, in range of full rerolls as well. Yeah,
And on
maybe not.
4s. Okay, all of that.
Do I roll my 3-up invons? Actually, if I fail 2, I die, so I might as well just try and save him. Because then I could use 2 CP to fight on death, or do I use 3 CP to fight twice? Keeping him alive doesn't give me much. Well, you have to dedicate shots into him. I'll roll my 3-up
Keep him alive, let's
invons.
see. Oh, yeah, it doesn't have much
He dies.
protect.
Oh.
I will
Killed
spend
him.
2
Uh-oh.
CP to
Yep.
fight.
We're fighting on death.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool. So, 5 attacks.
Kind of a downside in this situation.
He exploded with
if you weren't
everything.
sure you were
before,
going to kill
so
that
CP
guy,
does the same.
in 8th edition you
Not
could
bad.
put your Zephyr Glaives down and just punch him and have
And
Yeah.
then I
no
wound
chance of
you
killing him.
on
Can't do
2s,
that in 9th ed,
rerolling
though.
because you're higher
You
power
have a
level.
giant stick, you have to hit him with the giant
Yeah.
stick.
That many invons.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
9 wounds.
Oh.
Yes, 4 left.
Oh no!
Oh,
That's
man.
my smash captain there.
This one is
Oh no! That was brutal.
That is the end of my turn.
What a turn from the space.
That's not quite the end of
So
his turn. We got
leadership
some
on these
leadership
bikes
to take over here.
I only
This
use
last guy
one.
just goes away.
I only use the last one is here. So they lose 4, so
They're okay.
they're fine.
Okay.
Man, that smash captain just did so.
So at the beginning of your turn, you get a CP
Yeah.
and a primary.
No.
And
Okay.
I mean, really important to note.
Okay, so
Obviously,
again,
taking
this guy is going to move
Twilight
there.
Pathways off the table for the
Focus like
Harlequins,
this
because that was your
guy.
Twilight Pathways caster on the table. Oh.
Though on the other hand, I mean, this Wolfen squad did a fraction the damage we were initially expecting. The intercessors came in, only killed 2. Like the Wolfen have been pulled or peeled away from their death balls.
Yeah.
Their backfield's completely vulnerable. Like there's
Yeah, we did.
this is the turn where the Harlequins can suddenly show what this army can do.
I mean, yeah, we have to keep in mind, right, that this Judiciary is just a giant douche. And
How many CP do you left?
he's
One?
gonna
2.
Are we kind of playing trying to shoot this man to death?
I mean, maybe.
That's a Hail Mary play. That's not gonna be easy.
22.
I think
Sink another wound in from the
what we might be doing is
the
trying
Death Caster and then trying.
to deny that deploy scramblers from the space wolves.
The Troop Master is going to advance.
Because we've only had, these Blade Guard that just reserved in have deployed one in the enemy deployment zone. But as far as I know, the unit on between 4 and 5 have not deployed one yet, and the Incursors have only been using data intercept, and they're probably about to get gibbed right off the table.
I don't know if the true master is wanting to smoke. This is maybe a little optimistic here.
There is nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it just sucks, right? Because he cannot go into the Wolfen because of that Judiciary. And so he's just got to take the Blade Guard and...
You can go to the Wolfen on 3.
Yeah, the one guy. Yeah. Maybe we're hoping we shoot that guy to death.
I think we have to be shooting these impulsors. Can you imagine how would it go if this impulsor just exploded and then killed this wolf priest and this wolf pack leader?
Yeah, I killed the Wolfen too. Oh no. That'd be so good.
This one's going to move 22 there. On top here, I guess. He has the troop inside. Huh? And this guy has the solitaire and the troop inside. Okay, we'll move there, I guess, to give me the engage.
I think this might be the game where that solitaire has to just do his job.
Do something, yeah.
And those one are going to move there.
Yeah, interesting. We're just gonna initiate a base trade here for the Harlequins. They're just gonna leave their deployment zone, push everything out to the corners where the Wolfen are not right now.
Yes, all of that is in this transport. Huh?
Yep. And then these 4 back here are in this one?
The 5 back here are in this one, yes.
Is there 5 or 4?
It was a unit of 5.
It's like we're probably trying to shoot this wolf
one
pack leader
second.
death but with the Star Weaver.
So they're in that little transport right here?
Yeah, the Star Weaver has a good chance, plus the Haywire gun on the Sky Weaver as well. It's a lot of random strength 4 and 5 shooting going into that guy. Or 4 and 6.
Shooting.
Did this Star Weaver advance? It did, right? They can't. No, only native move 16. So the no pistol shots
I
coming out
need
of the players.
I need to do my litany. Sorry,
Yeah,
do you mind if I do that quickly?
Yes, no problem.
Yeah, I will do real hits in combat this time. I fell. Cool.
Okay, so this transport is going to shoot into the...
How dead are these incursors, though?
Big guard.
I mean, we gotta hope
Yep.
that they are
So
about
he
to be removed,
advanced, so he...
otherwise it's gonna be really awkward.
Now positioned and all gonna be able to shoot the impulsors with those haywire guns, though.
2 up armor.
So the firepower on the Skyweaver unit's just going nowhere this round.
Nothing.
Although it might go into the Incursors, to
The
be honest.
bike
I'm
are
just trying
going
to pick one off
to
so you can
bike
confirm
into
the kill
them
on
as
them
well.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh,
A big risk there, though. I mean, if you peel off like 3, one's left standing in the corner, and you fail a charge.
Yeah, but if he's standing out in the corner, he's not controlling that objective anyway, so you don't really
the
care.
advance.
I guess
Until
he
he
could-
just
he could
Space Wolf's
scramble
just
and do
Space Wolf's just like walking over and take it back from you again on the following turn. They are upsec.
1.
1-3 up.
It's going to be tough
Okay.
for the Harlequins, even if they are able to pull off
The
sort of a miraculous amount of damage this turn.
Devastator,
To get around this primary objective deficit, the
Yeah.
Spatials just have so much board control with all those impulsors. And the Harlequins can't
Two
commit
shots.
into these multiple Wolfen bricks around the
Yeah,
table.
fire. I think it may come to have been a big mistake in this game to fire all of the haywire last turn into the
AP?
Wolfen instead of the impulsors.
No,
Yeah, there's
AP
just a lot of
on the
extra
Wolfen,
stuff
but,
3 up in
on the
one.
table that the
Okay, but they're
Spatials
-2 to
can
remove.
use.
Yes. So
To
then
hold
this
objectives.
bike is going to shoot into this Wolfen here.
And we might start seeing a point where the impulsors just start chasing the Skyweavers
so
and charging them
four
every
shots.
turn because they may be good at shooting them with the haywire cannons, but honestly, Zephyr Glaives are not amazing at killing T7 vehicles.
Hitting on
Yeah, I mean,
3,
fortunately they can advance, they can fall back and do whatever they want, right?
Running
Because
on
Harlequins,
4.
they don't really...
1 wound.
It stops them from advancing. Though, right?
1
Yeah,
AP 1, correct?
It's-
So
it-
5 up save.
Yeah.
It locks
He's
them
okay?
into move 16.
Okay, and the
Only move
transport.
16. That's it.
Only.
Only, that's all.
One AP3 and 1 no AP.
1 AP3, so 1 goes straight through, so this will be a 5 up Phenopain. No, and a 4 up save. He's okay on 1 wound.
Alright.
Ooh, almost killed that back leader. Can we just... can we just go cut his head off with this over?
I was telling you, we need those pistols.
This bike.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even think that
Couple more
Starweaver
strength
needed to
points.
advance.
Everything into the.
He's trying to get engaged on all fronts, all 4 quarters, right?
No, it's already have a Skyweaver up there.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, you're right.
12.
So this is a Skyweaver Unit 1 on Objective 6. I think going into that Incursor squad.
I think the radical overperformance
yeah,
of that Wolf
then-
Lord
no,
on
I
death
didn't
might have
advance.
been
Please.
just like the
Four.
tip upon which this game started to fall
well,
over.
that AP1.
Yeah, I don't even know if that was
Cool.
overperformance,
So
right?
they're
'Cause
gonna
he's-
die regardless.
He's got massive explosion, so he's hitting and winning
Do
on twos.
I take
Yeah.
light cover
with
saves?
full rerolls. Like, that guy's gonna convert
In
the
ninth,
main
can you
attack to-
start with light covers, or do you have to kill the one because it's by model basis, correct? So I will start in the back with a 3 up save.
Yeah, you'll only get
I-
light cover if your entire unit is in cover. So you can
Oh,
start
it's
with
not
the
model.
model
It's
that's out
not
of
model by
cover
model.
and
Okay.
kill him, and then take it on the ones in cover. But until the entire unit's benefiting from cover, none of them will get it.
I guess I might survive you in combat, so I will take them all as no cover. These will be 4 up saves. 1 dies.
All right, only one Incursor going down to that shooting, but it is going to be pulled from the back. So
Then,
that charge
yeah.
except for Glaives to kill 4
This
Incursors
guy
should be
is
pretty
going
easy.
to charge the Blade Guard.
Torin, both remaining Starweavers have player units in them.
Yeah, there's I think 9 players remaining on the table inside those Skyweavers. Also, this one has a Solitaire hanging out in him.
And he goes with 6.
Pretty
Yep.
important. And I believe that this Starweaver is a while we stand we fight target.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this
Then-
little tiny package right here is worth 10 points for the Harlequins if it's able to get taken out.
6.
This Wolf Priest may
What's
just
up?
run over there and try to beat it.
Yeah, just punch
Try
that
to-
Starweaver
Yeah,
right in his
just
face.
spike all of the
I'm
hopes
just
and dreams of
on-
the Harlequins right into the dirt.
One, no, he's going to kill me back.
Yeah, I cannot hurt into it now.
Those one charging those one.
Yep. And you go. Mm-hmm.
And then.
You're breaking up a
those
lot.
one-
I can't hear you really badly.
Sorry. I'm going to try to speak a little bit
Having some mic
more
issues.
loud. Starting to try to go back after charging those Blade Guard.
Yeah.
7.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe did no wound. Actually, wound. Okay.
So this is
I'm
trying to
going to
stemming-
try to
Trying to
go-
stem the bleeding, I think, are the Harlequins. They're going to potentially, if they can knock these Blade Guard out, they can contest objectives 4 and 5 and knock the Spatials down to just holding 3, which is fine because they won't score any points. They'll also knock their data intercept out so that they won't score any points from that secondary as well this turn. Definitely a good play from Liam, trying to sort of reduce the deficit so that he can, try to swing back in for a big turn later in the game and turn the game around. We still are only on. This is top 3, so we do still have 2 more rounds to go. That Liam could swing back in this game.
Troop Master managing to kill 2 Blade Guard veterans, but leaving the one-on-one.
2 CP to interrupt.
Man's about to swing back in with 5 2-damage attacks. Could end up cutting this guy right in half.
4 attacks each goes charge, right? 12 attacks, hitting on 3s, 8 hit.
And this, we didn't even charge the Wolf and Pack Leader over here either.
Actually, won't you hold up. Oh, it's fine.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't.
No,
I mean, even if you kill him, right, he swings back at you.
Yeah.
You could potentially just knock this guy Weaver out of the sky, and that loses you objective 2, which just sucks.
And then AP 2, so 4 up 6. 1 dice.
1 dice and 1
well, one
Yeah, it is
dead.
awkward.
Yeah.
You're in a position where you just have to kind of hope that the Space Wolves game plan sort of starts to fall apart a little bit.
Yeah. Having to yo-yo the Wolfen away from the Death Ball in order of Objective 1, or have the Judicar away from Objective 4, though, is sort of what they needed.
I think they're gonna die.
Yeah, I don't. They just didn't have the movement the turn before to get
Not
to
a
any
roll.
position where.
Maybe not. And then they wound on 4s. I didn't want that.
Yeah. No, statistically, I fight.
Yeah,
3,
statistically you did that.
4,
Yeah, and then 5 ups. Okay, so 2 die. That doesn't help.
Ooh.
1, 2.
Only 2 incursors killed by the unit
Yeah.
on 6. Oh
Charges.
no! And
So
they're gonna
I will
offset that
activate
objective
the
away,
blade guard down here with 5 attacks.
assuming they don't randomly run away.
He will hit on
Which would be
2s.
very difficult.
Exploding 6s.
That means that regardless of the rest of this turn, the Space Wolves are probably
and then
going
I
to be
wound
scoring
you
15
on
primary again.
3s
Yeah.
and strength 5.
That is a big deficit for the Harlequins to try to dig out of. Yikes!
Oh, he's dead.
That's so lucky.
Oh no!
I
And
guess
this
I'm
one
going
Blade
to-
Guard
I'm
veteran
going to-
kills.
Yeah,
the
I saw it. I knew
Oh,
it.
No!
Okay, but I kill a character with a unit, so I get a CP. Over here, these Blade Guard will activate and fight you.
What happened to the Blade Guard himself, though?
Yeah. Did we delete that guy?
That guy- where'd that guy go?
It's 0 CP.
Yes, but I get 0. But
Yeah, you have to roll a 0.
Oh, right.
The Blade Guard.
No,
will
wait,
hit-
it was for my CP. It was for my CP. The CP I just used to do D3 mortal wounds.
Is
Copy
that-
pasting this man back
Oh,
in.
you use a stratagem to do D3 modes. Yeah, cool.
Oh, he
Yeah, Blade Guard over here. With 4
used a
attacks,
stratagem there,
5 on the sergeant.
which
hitting
killed
on
the
2s, 6s explode.
Okay, he was sitting on 1, so like a
So those just
mortal
explode.
wound return on death would
Wound on
pull it off.
3s, because strength 5.
Yeah.
4 ups. Kill 1 bike in a bit.
So 1 die. No. Oh, none of them was wounded. So
This is not the clap back
this one is going to.
that the Harleys needed.
Who has Player of the Twilight this game?
Right?
Who has Twilight player? Oh, is that the Shadow Seer? The TP region?
Ah, yes, she's dead. So I didn't
dead.
have
Yeah.
trouble. Oh, okay,
And then
sorry.
over here, 2 incursors will fight their way out. So this is kind of cool.
Yeah, so
They have
the
3
Shadow
attacks
Seer was
each.
dead, so there was
And
no.
you do 2 explosions.
There could have been no
Double
CP
exploding
regen
on
from
sixes,
the
yeah.
Harlequins there.
Let's see 5 6s. So this one explodes twice.
Yes.
And then I wound you on 4s. 3 wounds.
Oh,
1 takes 2 damage.
oh.
They're not wounded, okay.
But
What killed the Blade Guard veteran up by Objective 1?
He did
it's
mortal.
one. It's a strat from the White Dwarf. It basically, when a character die.
That's
and,
not locked
if-
to solitaires.
Oh, to be honest, maybe.
Yeah, is it? I have
I don't
damnation.
use. Can you double check? And I
Yeah,
guess
it's
that means that.
1 CP. Use a stratagem when a solitary unit from your army is destroyed as a result of a melee attack. The model's unit suffers
Yeah, well,
D3 mortal wounds.
I thought it was a character. My bad. Okay, but I guess.
Oh, I'm gonna make him a lone wolf then.
Okay.
Oh, Blade Guard lone wolf. Here we go.
All right, we're doing it. For the memes, chat.
So he gains 2 wounds, therefore he goes back up to 3. Legend.
But he has a characteristic of 5 wounds, so...
No, so he was down to 1 wound because you did
Once he becomes character, though, can he still
so he gains
use that
2
action?
wounds, he goes back up to 3. But he's now the
I think the action was already completed.
Ah, well,
lone.
character all you want then.
Cool. So that's the end of
the action
turn.
only
I
takes
will
a
not
turn
be
to
double
complete,
fighting
so he's
anywhere.
already
Would
done
you
with
let
it.
you? So
Alright.
don't fight. So in my
Another
turn,
round.
I'll get 15 for
And
primary.
I think you just have to be
how many
you have to be a
objectives I hold?
non-character
1,
to
2,
initiate
3,
it. Once you've started doing
4
it, if you become a
because
character
of
later, I
sec.
think you're still okay.
This one is
Which is
contested,
silly.
I guess,
Where?
with the
This
bag.
one? You have 1. Oh yeah, contested, right.
Should you imagine that guy
So
just
I
halfway through
hold
the turn
only 3.
realizing that he's just too good for this sort of menial labor?
Yeah, he's,
To be honest,
he's like hacking that console or whatever, and
So
over the
that
comms,
was-
he's like he just gets a promotion, and he just like stands up,
Yeah.
picks his briefcase up, and just walks away from the
He
computer.
he points
Okay, so
right at the wolf and he's like, I outrank
my
you now.
turn-
This is your job.
I get a CP. Ragnar and Intercessors will disembark.
That guy probably does outrank the Wolfen.
Yeah, I'm gonna go play Fortnite on one of these
They
consoles.
will go there in
done.
a second. Where does this Wolfen want to go? Does he just want to advance onto this objective? I mean, the Wolfen will advance because he goes 5, so he doesn't go that far. I'm worried gonna hold this
Alright, so
objective,
the,
so I guess I kind of want to push something there. So he goes
So
12,
we're gonna.
which is not ideal. So do we go back here so I can send
But I
all
think
of
we're
this
gonna
stuff over here?
pile out everything on objective 3. And just try
Over
to clean
here,
up the
there's
rest of the
nothing I
Harlequins
can
on this
really do.
right-hand flank.
But once you're
with
down
Ragnar
to
and the
1
boys.
Skyweaver, you
Yeah,
really
that-
pull points. So I need to.
Those last 2 assault phases were so technical, but I think
Yeah,
we
almost-
know who came out on top.
Almost everything that could have gone wrong for the Harlequin.
So
did.
are you unchargeable here? How would I charge you? Do I
Uh,
just have
then
to
swing back on the
because
Wolfen
it's 5
to go
inch.
into
Oh, 5 inch, yeah,
the
5
Skywivers, clip off 2 of them so they
Okay.
could kill the incursors.
Ah,
Losing
yes,
4
so basically
Skywivers to
if you are
1 Wolf
here,
Lord on a
you
fight
can
back.
fight me.
Even the incursors or intercessors killing 2 of the
there. So
the
he's
free
moving
bikes.
12, and where do I need him? Where do I need him with 1?
in each of these instances
He'll go
the
12 this way.
Skywivers then just barely didn't have enough damage to do what they needed to do.
So
in the
then
follow-up.
Ragnar will come out and play.
yeah, and then like
So he will go.
I
Within
think I
9?
mean Harlequin certainly needed a blowout turn, right? That turn
Yeah.
to
And he will be
to
one
come back
to
in
be
this
within
game.
6 of this guy.
Oh,
Being
Ragnar's
able
gonna
to
end this
trying
soldier
to
whole
do
career.
here-
I mean,
What I'm going to be trying to do here is I'm going to try and wrap your Skyweaver to see if I can pop it and kill the troop unit inside, basically.
The
Because it's 2
but
CP
yeah,
for
I
this
think I mean we needed to see the Skyweavers cut out this Blade Guard unit and have the solitaire or the
there.
troop
And we'll
master
see
kill
if we
this
can
Blade Guard
charge
unit.
and wrap you.
And we needed to
Then-
kill this person as well. And then like we have a
These
we
Wolfen
have
over here will
not a great chance in this game for the Harlequins.
Yeah, but it's
we
a
have
game, it's scrap.
yeah, we
1
have
inch, so they minus
We've got a
2.
chip and a chair in the game, right? But
So
Yeah.
they go 6 inches,
Sans a
Having-
couple of
Because of the
massive
Death
impulsor
Jester.
explosions.
yeah,
and this charge
Yeah,
here
sure.
will be a
all
5
three of
inch
those
charge,
combats
4
go
inch charge
poorly
maybe.
was
Yeah.
So how would this
super
charge
bad.
work here? If I go here like this,
looks like we will be using the new 5-inch vertical engagement range rules from 9th edition to engage this Starweaver.
What an excellent new rule there.
so this is what I
Starweaver
want
is
to
no
do as well.
longer
I want to
completely
have
immortal.
this Blade Guard veteran outside of 6 of these Wolfen, so that he charges outside of the aura and gets +1 attack. This Judicar is going to move up as 6. See
Really
if it
smart
can
plays from Jaime here. Just
charge these guys
you know,
over here.
obviously
Get
in
charge.
against the player of this caliber, like
Impulsor
Liam,
will stay on this
can't-
objective. like
you
this.
can't give him any outs, and we're just trying to
He will go
glean small benefits, like
7 inch.
like using the mark
That-
of the Wolf and Aura ability to get +1 attack on your Blade Guard veteran. Like that's not a
Cursors will
huge
stay
ability,
in
but a lot of people will just
combat. I
advance
mean, you will
as
get
close
to
as they
5
can
thing.
and try to
That's when I
charge in
can't
and,
fall
and
back
might be
without
losing a
you
little
that
bit of efficiency there.
objective.
Especially since that's a pretty good
And you
attack.
gain
Since
that
that guy,
objective doesn't get you anything.
rerolls
So
all
I
of
will
his hits.
fall
Oh yeah.
back because you're just gonna kill me anyways, and you get to activate.
Falling back with the incursors here, keeping them alive so they can walk up and take off 6 on the next turn if the Skyweavers don't
All right.
put everything back into them the
We'll
second
go
time.
into shooting. Lone Wolf is gonna toss a grenade into your transport. hitting on a 3 because
Okay.
you're
Which then limits the Skyweaver unit here, which
and
is the largest
wounding on a
remaining
3,
piece of
rerolling
Harlequin
everything
force
because he's a
to
lone
just
wolf.
shooting
I need to
2
double
incursors
check
on their
if
turn.
reroll wounds applies to everything, but I think it does.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, the
Well,
wolf
it's even
matter. Yeah.
is all attacks.
Over here, 2 bolt pistols into your
I want to see like an audible
guys,
rifle
hitting
guy
on 3s,
get lone wolf
wounding
and just start like shooting things.
4s, nothing.
Same.
Impulsor 1
Somehow
will
like
shoot.
a,
I'm
what
outside
a
of round.
Grav Devastator Sergeant.
4 shots. I will do both of these
Yeah,
impulsors
dude.
together if you don't mind.
Yes, of course.
Those new
They
heavy
hit on
bolter
4s.
devastators, am I right? 2 damage.
And they wound you on 5s.
Get God.
2 wounds, no AP.
Do you think when
2
they
saves
stuffed
on
that
your star
servitor
wheel?
brain inside of this crane, he thought he would ever see such a magnificent battle as this?
I don't think so.
He's just like, oh, I shouldn't have stolen that.
He's a little upset now
To
because
save on my
it's going to be
Skyweaver?
his job.
Yeah.
He knows it's going to be his job to
Nothing.
I'm dead.
Impulsor down here will rapid fire into the Skyweaver down
the
here.
Space Marines and Harlequins and Shattered Star
hitting
Weavers
you
and
on
Impulsors
4s.
at the end of this battle. He's like, oh, okay. More
Oh, I
That guy
didn't
stole
move my
some
check.
bread on like a hive world somewhere.
And
You know,
then
they're like, no, you're a servitor now. And he's like, oh man. He's like,
And then I
do I at least get to
wound
be
you
a cool
on
kind? And they're like, no,
4s.
you're a crane.
Can I be a tank
3
man?
saves.
No.
He's like, what am I ever gonna see on it as a crane? And then suddenly
saves
this
on
like
your-
clowns are fighting
Your bike?
werewolves all around him, and he's like, oh, it was all worth it.
Oh,
1 goes
one
through.
wound on the lone.
Ragnar will try kill you with a grenade.
Okay.
Hits on a 3. That's one to be hit. Wounds, Invon. Goes through. T3. Kills him.
With the
Grenade. Ragnar. The intercessors will shoot everything into the transport. I hit
Ragnar
you.
killing
There should be one.
a Skyweaver with a grenade.
Hit you
The
on 4s.
disrespect, the shade.
Only once. Wow. And then I wound you on 5s.
I don't even know if this guy knows how to throw a grenade. He just pulled it off.
In ones.
I think we've seen Ragnar do
What?
sort of immense damage with grenades in the past
True.
in this season, over the course of the season. We've
Have we?
even seen
3
Ragnar
wounds?
kill other Ragnars with grenades, which is pretty impressive.
That would be all of my shooting because I forgot to move priest, and then charges.
That laughing
The
guy is not laughing too
Blade
much
Guard.
right
Lone Wolf will charge in,
Yeah, it's like a nervous laughter.
yes.
now. Yeah.
and he goes with a 5, so he's just gonna go right below you and slap upwards. The Judicar will charge the bikes, needing an 8. Reroll. Fails. Reroll.
What a
he goes with a
damaging
9.
turn this one is too.
Yeah.
To
Make
here.
me fight live.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are pounding.
The Wolfen will charge the Skyweaver.
This crane is just
Mhm.
slowly lowering that coffin into its
That's
like
6. That should be enough. So look, 6 right here.
But
I think
if you
honestly,
put one model here,
this is probably the.
No,
This is like sort of the story of the
Okay.
power of the
Maybe-
Judiciary in this matchup,
Yeah.
because
Oh,
there was
you-
never a
I
situation
think
where
I'm
the
not sure I
Skyweavers
can
could
find-
dive
if
and
you're going to
have a
kill, if you put one model here, I cannot disengage from
I don't
the-
think I
a
can
really
make
good
that
engage
charge.
and then jump back out of combat, which is entirely the game plan of this Harlequins list, right? And this
But I think-
Judiciary is like, no.
I think the story of this was also just a series of bad trades. Like, starting with that player charge right at the very beginning that didn't do quite enough damage, and you lost the entire unit.
Yeah.
You lost the Troop Master, who gives the Saga, and also gives like a free 9 inches of movement.
But
to the Wolfen.
you're sort of
Run
forced
paths.
into those trades because of the fact that you like sort of the center of the
Yeah.
Space Wolves line is just unengageable in melee. You just like Wolfen with the Judiciary behind them.
I'll go here.
What touches that?
I mean,
Nothing hits that.
do you
There's
just sit away
nothing
from
that
it?
survives that.
Do you just hang out well beyond their distance, try and clip out all 3 impulsors before engaging anything anywhere, and just using your superior movement to try and hold objectives far away from
I
those
mean,
Wolfen squads?
I think the choice to
No, you
to
don't
just
do-
target everything into the Wolfen is defensible.
And then
If
over
you
here,
explode your dice that
intercessors
turn. I mean, the Harlequins
Yeah.
I think needed one turn where just everything went their way, and they just didn't get it.
rerolling because of
Um,
Ragnar.
if their dice explode that turn and they're able to peel a bunch of Wolfen out of that unit, like now it is going to be an interesting fight. But the fact that there's this just big brick, like there's this like 500 point brick of models on the table that none of your army can deal any damage to, and is just sort of denying you like 3 full objectives, just sitting between objectives 1 and 4. That's so hard to come back from. It's so hard with a list like these Starweavers.
And you can't leave these intercessors unengaged either, because every round they're alive, they're picking up 1 or 2 player units.
Right.
Yeah. I guess now, if you move the intercessor here, I can maybe put 1 model here.
Yeah, so we're trying to totally ring this Starweaver so that when Ragnar inevitably cuts it in half with his giant chainsword, it will be there's no space to pile out the infantry inside it.
Not like this.
Yeah, just like a brutality on the Harlequins in there. Oh no.
Well, looks like the choice to not be on the clock was not necessary here.
Yeah, this would have been a quick one.
It's a quick one, but man, was this cerebral.
It was, yeah, I mean, not obviously Jaime playing sort of the superlative defensive game with his combos, really using the ability to be able to adapt his game plan in the Invitational rule set, which allows you to do your pregame selections before each game, so you're not locked into one, and able to pivot the game plan on his army to be very melee defensive, and then using it to the utmost. He never gave the Harlequins an opportunity to engage into him and trade up.
Well, you place them first, then you roll, right?
No, I mean, perhaps on his own charge, when he sent the Wolflord in, intercessors and the Wolfen in to try and snip stuff out, which then did lose
just killing themselves.
Essentially most of the Wolfen's attacks. Like, had that gone a little bit differently, those jet bikes could have killed out all of the intercessors, which then the intercessors don't kill those 2 other jet bikes, and then they just yeet themselves right out of there. And then if the other jet bike squad does not kill the Wolflord, if they somehow just have a slightly bad swing, then the Harlequins lose effectively nothing in that charge besides 1 troop master, and the game looks completely different.
Yeah.
But that was just such a pivotal turn. Like, I can see a 2 out of 3 game where, 2 out of 3 series where, it's into game 3 and we still have no idea who wins this.
Oh, for sure.
T5? Sure. 2 damage.
Yeah, I think this Spaceless army is well suited for this mission as well.
Oh yeah.
Given that it
How does this work?
it can sort of
How do I fight
transition itself into having multiple kind of mini armies that can sort of independently operate, and so it was able to send 1 contingent over to objectives 2 and 3 and the other one to dominate 4 and 5, and all it really needs to do is hold 1 of those halves to get probably 15 primary points, but then also its data intercept every turn.
Yeah, and I think we were side-eyeing. We were side-eyeing these Wolfen before. I mean, they're an expensive brick of a unit that hammer blows 1 thing, but like they're vulnerable to shooting, they're vulnerable to psychic. There's a lot of ways that they can just be kind of countered. But in the way that 9th plays, oftentimes you don't have those hardcore, anti-infantry shooting elements. You're really relying on your own hammer blow melee, and in that scenario, this unit is king.
I know, yeah. Yeah, I think a pretty strong meta pick for Jaime, knowing that he's going to be going into a bracket that's probably full of a lot of melee-oriented stuff between Chaos and Harlequins, and like we mentioned it at the start, but the pivot into a billion Wolfen was a weird one, but oh man, was it appropriate for the units?
It was smart.
Opponents he was going to face.
So what kind of changes do you think could be made to this Harlequins list to maybe unlock this like puzzle box of an unassaultable line?
I mean, you need some guns, right?
Oh, I see. Okay.
I think that's
yeah.
The fact that the only shooting in the game in the army is Harlequin or Haywire cannons for the most part.
Yeah, the 3rd Skyweaver unit might be a little too heavy into the skew.
Yeah.
I will.
Definitely good against all the other Space Marine gun lines that the army face, but not doing so well into the Space Wolves here.
He has 5 attacks.
Which this army is not paying particularly less points into vehicles. It's just the nature of the rest of the line is so different. Like those Zephyrglaives pay dividends.
Yeah, you want to be able to peel off all the impulsors, and I think that would have been good for the Harlequins to do. But if you leave the Wolfen alone, they're just going to kill everything. Yeah, here goes the rest of the Skyweavers on Objective 5.
would not get to activate, correct?
No, they won't.
Okay. I will consolidate with him.
I will fight back, but it doesn't matter.
Sure, saying Space Wolf's got that dream bracket? Possibly, but I mean, every game was meticulously played as well.
One wound, but
Yeah, it was interesting. The way the brackets shook out,
And then,
basically, depending on the seeds, one side was either going to have 2 Chaos or one side was going to have 2 Salamanders.
Yeah.
And one side got 2 Chaos, and so...
Once I got 2 Salamanders, they both kind of got the list that they wanted to play into, but it's like, these aren't bad players getting lucky. These are very good players.
Yeah, and the Chaos players, I think we talked about it in their quarterfinal and semifinal games. They took a lot of tech to bring against sort of other Space Marines.
Yeah.
But it wasn't well suited to fight the Space Wolves army, which is just going to crush it in melee. Like, deny all of its psychic powers and just kill everything in the middle of the table.
Yeah.
I'm not going to score anything.
Yeah, you don't have.
Yeah. I scored 2 points last turn on Untitled. No, I didn't because yes, 2 points, but that's it.
What an interesting lesson in the strengths of certain
I guess
archetypes
I can score
in
2
tonight.
more points this turn, but that's it basically. Oh man, it was a rough game.
That was crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it looks like
I
we're
do
going to talk out
apologize
here.
for that.
Yeah, I think
Makes
the writing's on the wall
No,
for this one.
that's
There's
not
one Skyweaver unit
the
left.
dice, but
There's 2.
I cannot do my
One in the fifth.
Harlequin are squishy, so if you hit them, they die, and I can do nothing against you.
I got
with
super
it.
lucky on the
Yeah, Chad, post any questions you have for the players in the chat room as we
die
go
and then
through,
still kill the Harley unit,
with our
but I don't
breakdown.
get.
So that
3
looks like
dudes
that's
to
going to
get
be
push up on this side. You know?
Jaime Paris
And yes,
as the world's greatest virtual 40k player, the winner of the T5S2 Invitational, and the winner of the season 1 of the circuit.
Congrats, Jaime.
Because
You
of
showed
the
us that skill,
cross
too.
card,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
and especially with Wolfen
What a
fighting on
monster.
death. Yeah,
Both of these players just absolutely a masterclass in 40k in all of their games.
I'm not shooting too good to do something, so
What an interesting way this tournament shook out. I mean, it started out with a lot of maybe 8th edition oriented
I was
lists,
thinking that you are going to play
and we
a little
very
bit more
rapidly
compact.
saw them kind of like
But I
tumble
forgot
down
about-
into these
I only thought to the
very
defense, I
strange
took
animals that
one
you never
bubble,
would have
so
seen
Basically, I can
just a
move
few months
around,
ago.
Yeah, for sure.
but because you are the
And we did
both
see a
bubbles,
lot of the 8th edition archetype lists get knocked
like
out
this,
very
and
quickly.
Because
There's
Some of the
yeah,
lists that look
they
like an
got
8th edition
plastered.
list. Oh boy.
I think
Were you not
Gosegon is. I always like to go second, but
yeah.
Glorgify, they are
yes, it was.
they're sleeping.
I did the farm. I guess I overextend turn 1. I
They're in a
should
better
only put some transport and some troop, and
Yeah.
then I could kill the. But because you was in bubble everywhere, there was nothing to charge. So
Yeah.
very well played.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think I made some
My
mistake
biggest
about
worries were the big troop units, because those can really hurt me just from the volume of attacks.
Yeah, but
So that's why I tried to shoot the one in the back turn 1 over and over again, just to whittle them down, so you couldn't use them against me.
yes, I made also a mistake with them. They should be hiding.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah, excellent game, guys. Jaime, congratulations on the win.
Thanks, man.
You are the T5S2 Season 1 champion, and
Thanks, man.
I think you may be the best virtual 40k player in the entire world right now.
No chance. There's some people out there who are incredible, kick my butt every day. Wolfen carried me all the way through, dude. I'm looking at them right now. I'm like, I'm so glad I put.
Yeah, we were talking about the pivot into Wolfen from the previous version of your list, which focused on Relic Contemptors and Tempest, a lot more guns. Was that I imagine that was a consideration after you saw the bracket that you were in, right? That you wanted.
It was
to go hard into melee?
the terrain. So I knew Korn was gonna play Nurglings, and they do great into Nurglings, right? But it was the terrain. The Contemptors just don't do well in the terrain of these maps. Just the line of sight sucks. I would have to be super aggressive with them to get angles.
Yep.
So Wolfen were in there to terrain hop, and a friend of mine, Damien, he was helping me build the list and figure out how I wanted to play, and the terrain hopping worked really well with the.
Yeah, for sure. And we saw, I mean, the story of this whole game was just the power of those melee manipulation auras, both on the Armor of Rus, Wolf Priest, and the Judiciary.
Yep.
Yeah, is there, Liam, looking at the way the game played out, is there a way that you would recommend playing against those anti-melee auras in such a powerful melee list with your Harlequins?
But before what I was doing is like charging a unit and then consolidate and fight, but in 9th edition it's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
My strategy basically was to normally go on the back, try to play the mission, but I didn't did well on this mission in particular. Maybe I should more because Jamie make a good thing to put to not put his army in one big pack, but he split his army, so it was very good.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah, absolutely. We were commenting that the fact that the Space Wolves army could split into two sort of small sub armies to go to the two clusters of objectives on either side and operate independently was really impressive.
Well, the thing is, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to keep everything together so that I could make you fight last so that you couldn't charge me. I was worried that if I spread my castle up, you would be able to like just surgically pick off my weak spots.
Yes, it was, but it was my only strategy. It was to go onto the little guys, the little unit, and hope one moment you overextend to charge me and basically play on the flank. But because I had first turn, I think it was too aggressive. I shouldn't do what I did. Maybe what I should do nothing, only put my bike on the side and wait to see what happened.
Yeah.
But even that, you're going to take the board, and basically because you have 2 bubble, I can do nothing because you have the 5 objectives. So even if nothing happened, you win. And with Harlequin, what I like to do is to do a thing to make me in a position where I have to do nothing to win, basically.
Yeah.
Or basically send the bike, but the bike don't give any points, so only sacrifice bikes to take some points. But against you, because you have the 5 objectives, I cannot win.
Arn, I was talking to him before the game. He put it very well. He said, you trade your CP for your opponent's units. That's what he said. So you'll use your charge, 3-up invuln, kill, and then bounce out, kill a unit, and then bounce out to not use your bikes, and just do that all game.
No, I trade for points. Because most of the time I try to kill. This turn that was a mistake because I shouldn't do that. I should do that one turn later when I put you out of an objective. That was the good way to do. But most of the time, what I try is to use my CP to put units out of an objective. Like my first game was against an Iron Hand. And I use something like 5 CP or 6 CP to kill a unit of 10 intercessor, only to put them out of one objective, because I knew that after it was difficult to go back on this objective. And I think that was a mistake of my part to charge the Wolf Hunter one. And to be honest, I was not realizing home. Yes, like the 2 bubble make that I cannot charge anything, so my army don't have enough firepower to kill you, basically. Even I could kill the impulsor, but if I kill the impulsor, but they do nothing because they are empty. If I can kill the impulsor before you begin to move, that's good, but it was risky when I did that. I don't know what I could do better. Maybe I cannot move block you because you move out with the impulsor, then you move on the objective again. So I think it's a bad. It's not. Astartes normally it's good matchup for Harlequin, but this. I guess it's shooting army who are good for Harlequin, but combat army.
You don't care about being shot,
No. Yeah. Combat army is a little bit more complicated.
Wolfen are OP.
Not really, but against me it's good because the Harlequin, I cannot make a trade of 1 unit of bike for 1 unit. I cannot charge to make a. For me, it's not a good trade to use a unit, even if I kill one of your unit, because
Because I
most
get
of my
to 5.
units.
Yeah.
Yes, and the bike are so important to score the points. The troops are there to be sacrificed, but the bike normally. I
Bikes you
hope
need
they
them are
so.
so expensive. You need them to do everything. Yeah.
Yes, I need 1 unit. Most of the times, I finish the game with 1 full unit of bike, and when I have that, it's good for me because
Yeah.
most of the opponent shooting and thing is dead. But I didn't did a lot of damage. But I guess I will have to try to thought about the wolf matchup on the list. I guess on my to change the list to maybe put some
I don't know.
hunters.
I haven't seen a lot of players around, especially Wolfen. So I
No,
wouldn't.
not Wolfen special. No, not Wolfen, but I guess close combat army because I think I have some problem against Orc. It's a little bit complicated also. So the melee army is a problem for us. It's not. It's a little problem for Harlequin, I think. So
Yeah, I imagine we're
Death
going to
Guard is
see
also.
that Judiciary combo in a lot more lists going forward as well, right? Like, you got to be
Yeah,
prepared for that guy, too.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, at what point do I just drop that chaplain? Because the chaplain, I don't get to reroll. And I guess in the new codex, maybe he gets to reroll Litanies, but that chaplain, do I just put a second Judiciary in there? It's like
Just
just
go ham
double
on
wolf
it.
and double Judiciary. It's like, I dare you to charge. I dare you.
Gross. Yeah, that sounds good. We did have a couple questions from the chat for both of you. Chat was asking what you two think are the top factions in the meta right now, and what your thoughts on sort of what's the army to beat.
I don't think the meta's set yet. You know, it's like
Yeah.
9th just started. We don't even have to rain figure. Everyone's doing it differently. No one's comfortable with the deployments yet. Like, no, we're not half the people want alternating, half the people don't want alternating. It's like, who knows? You know, people with like if you go deployment, then the meta will be very similar. But if you go alternating deployments, then whoever has like redeploy stratagems like Eldar, Harleys, Ultramarines, you can get a lot of play out of them.
Yeah, for sure.
I
That's a
guess-
big deal.
But right now there is some archetype of lists who become good, who are on top of the meta. It's like the transport are very very good because to play the mission. All MSU are good. I know also so like a lot of horde army are very very powerful because basically you can take the board very well. Yes, you die, but no, because there is none killing points. Maybe some secondary, but most of the points are control map, and also there is no end game objective. So basically, you can go for like the Nurgling Swarm. You can go for try to take a big lead on the first turn, and then maybe some army cannot come back from that. But I guess Marine are still good. Harlequin are very good, but
So many
most of the-
tricks.
yes. On game when Harley can be can be on the table. Not against shooting army and half. Harlequin are very good. I think against focus combat army they are resistant. It's a little bit more complicated because but to be honest, I don't see how I can win this one on this map.
Yeah, exactly.
Because-
A different mission would be completely different, right?
Yes, but on this map, it's complicated. I guess I will.
I imagine it's a lot easier going second as well into the impulsors, like force them to move forward so you can get that first turn round of shooting.
Yes, that's true also.
Yeah.
When he gave me first turn, I was no.
I know, so
Because
my plan going second was I was gonna put the Wolfen bombs on the 2 sets of 2 objectives with the Judicar in the middle and the Chaplain in the other one.
Yes.
And have the
And
impulsors behind, waiting for you to move up, and then using the impulsors to shoot your troops, because that's the most efficient way of killing your troops, is by shooting them with storm bolters and auto. That was what I was going to do.
Yes. No, it was. But I saw to kill a little bit more Wolfen on turn 2, but even, and I did a mistake with my Shadow Seer. I should have good place the back, so he was really unchargeable. I was, I think, a little bit less. Some say that I maybe should have to try to go everything into this one flank, but it's not my style. I don't like to be to take risk.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
it's a little bit risky, but maybe it was maybe the good thing to do, to try to kill everything on one side. And lose a lot, but maybe I will lose basically one unit of bike from the stop fighting, or 1 unit from the stop fighting, and probably and no, from the fact that you said that unit fight last.
Yeah, with the armor brass, yeah.
And probably 1 unit from fight on death. So it was still. And probably another unit from there was only 3 Wolfen, so probably I could go for everything to shoot and so in the Wolfen, and then charge this back here. Maybe try to kill the at one moment the plan was to try to kill the impulsor and hope he blow up. It was a little bit too risky. I was
hold my table myself.
But
yeah, I think the bubble down there in the bottom right was a little too hard to crack, because I had Ragnar, the Smash Captain, and the Chaplain with a squad of intercessors. It was a lot of fighting power, all within 6 inches of each other to hurl intervene.
Yes, I knew. That's why I was. Because basically you can make a unit fight last, you can interrupt, and you can fight on death. So it's too much, and too much. Because for example, I begin with the back on the unit of Ragnar, for example. I probably kill Ragnar because I will have the free roll to wound. You fight on death, probably you use some CP, so you probably kill most of the back, maybe 1 left, but if I'm lucky. And then you fight with the captain like you did, and you
captain
do also the crazy. And then the Thunder Hammer is very good.
Yeah.
No, it was difficult, but yes.
It was a good game as well. It was clean. Appreciate it.
I scored 4 points on all the game.
We had another question from chat for Jaime, just asking if Nick Rose had made it through the semifinals, how you feel about that Salamanders matchup instead of the Harlequins, how you think that goes down.
It's a lot more shooting. My list struggles a little bit. It's like if I need to run at you with everything I have and hope you can't chew through all of it. So many Eradicators and the Aggressors really hurts, especially the Aggressors will march to my Wolfen. But then everything in my army is like flat 3 damage, right? Thunderhammers everywhere. So if I can get into those Aggressors and fighting, and if I can keep Ragnar alive, I can do a lot of damage. It's just who blinks first almost, right? If I can avoid those shooting lanes, because the terrain was pretty tight on the other boards. It's a completely different matchup, right? I have to run at you without getting shot to pieces with everything I have.
Yeah, your impulsors are almost, pure gold in that matchup, just to keep everything safe, to soak overwatches,
and hope to God I can roll 4 up invulns. If those Eradicators, 6 shots, 5 hits, 4 wounds. I fell 3 of those, got impulsor, and then everything spills out. All you gotta do is kill 3 of the 5 intercessors, and now you can just pick off the characters that just came out of the impulsors.
Yeah, bro.
It's so risky. I'm glad I didn't have to play Saddies. But those nerdlings weren't.
there's like sort of a critical mass of those Tempest shots too, right? That are really scary against those Wolfen squads, because they are blastable, so they're gonna hit them for 6 damage.
For sure. I'm definitely making those Wolfen 5-man units. See if I can get a 3rd unit in there. Just 3 5-man Wolfen units. Cool. Yeah.
So it sounds like chat really enjoyed the game. A lot of people congratulating you two on some excellent plays and really superlative sportsmanship as well. So I really appreciate that.
And also thank you for organizing it, man. So a pain in the butt to organize these events. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Chad, I think speculating on what the over-under is that Wolfen sell out on the store.
I need to go and buy some more. 8, I think. I need to go and get some more.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
They are really cool. I was glad I got to use them and show them off a little bit.
I'm interested about the play to cunning of the wolf in those the blade guard into the deployment zone. Was that part of the initial game plan to grab those that deploys the boiler?
So I didn't want those little 5-man units that I've seen him use to like steal objectives.
Yeah.
I wanted him to leave something in the back so he doesn't throw everything at me. And
interesting.
yeah, there was a lot of thinking with a couple friends before the game, and we couldn't figure out what to do. It's like, yeah,
that's a really good point. That's something that we've been noticing a lot, especially in these invitational games, where a lot of because most of the game revolves so heavily around the objectives in the center, and the armies are much smaller, and you have less troop choices. That backline screening is a lot harder now.
Exactly.
And
It's a lot easier to. So the 9th edition new reserves, the tactical reserves thing.
Yeah.
That's a lot easier to screen because you can't go into your opponent's deployment zone or battle edge. It's easy to like screen out the edges.
Right.
But with a wolf strat, you can go all the way into the back of them deployment. So it's just worth to force him to keep something back, so he doesn't overrun me.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, chat. If you have any more questions for the players, go ahead and post them in. Shuma, do you have any more comments?
Let me just unmute myself from the players. I suppose no comments beyond just bravo. I mean, this is. I could have asked for a game that was more tricky with like more nuances to it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the nicest things about 9th edition is it de-emphasizes backline firing so much, and just these like close in like knife fights in the middle of the board where positioning is key to try and sneak things onto objectives, back off objectives, or to snipe out characters. That just makes the games much more interesting to watch.
No, the entire game was like, if I make a mistake, he's gonna rip me apart. Like if I leave a gap for his bikes, he's going in and he's just destroy me.
Oh yeah.
And we were commenting too. I think any one of those turns, if Harlequins have sort of one of those blowout turns where everything goes their way, like the game could flip entirely on its head.
Completely.
I don't know if we couldn't see quite as well as you guys could, I think, but when the intercessors charged onto objective 1 into the Skyweavers there, it looked like that the Skyweaver unit that had been charged by the Wolfen on the same turn when they interrupted could have gotten 2 or 3 models into melee with those intercessors, and then instead of planting everything in the Wolfen, try to kill those intercessors instead, and then curtain falls out. And,
I didn't even notice
probably,
that.
Yeah, we were.
Probably, yeah. I saw that one, but it was, to be honest, I was a little bit, yes, it was probably the best play. I made some mistake, I guess I played a lot of 40k this weekend, so it's a little bit I guess I did 7 games in 3 days, so.
Yeah, I was mentioning to Trevi, like, if this was like a 2 out of 3, I don't know who would have won the 3rd game. I mean, so much of this feels like you're thinking up the matchup on the spot. You're trying to figure out what the best plays are at any given moment. Like, there's no previous experience, I would expect, for either of these lists fighting the other.
Yes.
Yeah. It also didn't help that my 3-up in ones were slightly above.
That first round with like those hero Wolfen just shrugging off that player unit, which then left the character open to initiate the saga and just like started this series of dominoes falling down. Yeah,
it looks like it's just sort of a constant series of coin flips on all these fights, right? Especially with Wolfen like being able to swing back even if their unit gets trucked. That if one person starts winning more than the other one, it kind of cascades a little bit, but definitely I think from the outset certainly could have gone either way. And the turn that sort of all of the haywire got sunk into the Wolfen and like none of them died. Just a heartbreaker for sure.
We're watching that Wolf Lord just like spin and take out all but one of
that was so cool.
Yeah, he hit the ground with the Thunderhammer and
Well, fighting into the swords, it's like, oh, do I split attacks into swords and risk not killing her? It's like, oh, that's risky. So I just went for all 5 attacks. They all exploded to 10 hits, 9 wounds. It's like, well, that's kill.
That's so brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That smash cap was cool.
Yeah, the Smash Captain was sick. Looks like Logan in chat asking about the Warlord traits. There were a couple ones on the spatial side. I think the most important one was that Saga of the Hunter on the Smash Captain.
Saga of the Hunter, advance and charge.
Oh,
if you make a charge,
incredible.
it becomes an aura. I think it's only a 3-inch aura, but then you get really crazy because then you get your impulses advance and charging. You can get really silly with those. And then I didn't do any other warlord traits. I've done Saga of the Bear for 6-up Field of Pain, which is very underwhelming. Saga of the Wolfkin is +1 attack, which becomes into an aura as well. But yeah, Saga of the Hunter, by far the coolest warlord trait on a Spaceful Smash Captain, because you have the 12-inch move, advance, charge, 5 attacks. You can give them Wolfenstone for 6. And then you do the 1 CP exploding, Touch of the Wild, and then you do the reroll wounds. You can kill almost anything.
Oh, yeah. That guy is such a blender.
He's a blender.
Especially if you're swinging into Magnus, then you're also, exploding into 1,000 Suns.
But then you explode on 3s because that strat is plus and modified, so you get +1 to hit for being spaceful. And if you're in turn 3, you get exploding triple 6s.
Just sink like 35 wounds directly into a Demon Primarch.
Exactly. And if you really want to, you got the Chaplain with the exploding 6s litany. You can get really stupid with the Smash Captain, with the Smash Lord.
So gross.
Yeah. If you thought Ragnar was bad, wait until you get one of these Smash Captains in.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right,
definitely
guys.
gonna play Wolves with my Ultras now.
Oh yeah, Superman.
It's just too good. Yeah. I did that the last 5 months of ETH, souping the Ultras with the Wolves. But I'm gonna go back to doing that because I was running pure Ultras and it's just not working out great.
Yeah. Logan in chat also asking about your thoughts on the Calyxus Assassin that you had in your list in the Elim rounds.
Well, that was because in the group stage.
Yeah.
That was because Magnus multi-smite was allowed.
Right.
And that will tear through any list. Like Dan and Arn practiced and were just ripping through lists, doing 20 mortal wounds with Magnus alone on average per psychic phase. I just needed a Calyxus in that list to do something. He's also, for 100 points, putting him in a backfield objective, raising a banner, screening. You gotta hit him on 6s. He's a pain to remove. For 100 points.
And he can also make a unit fight last, no?
Yeah. It's for 1 CP, all units within 3 inches fight last.
Oof.
Yeah.
Wait, is that friendly units as well?
No, all enemy units within 3 inches fight last. Which is really cool.
So would it be a
Okay.
consideration? Logan was asking if there is a consideration in there instead of a second Judiciary in the list to put that guy back in.
For sure, 85 points, 100 points, easy to fight those 15. And then you have the versatility if you ever really need to change it. And then what I did with the -2 cast from the relic as well as the Calyxus, you can really dumb down some psychic armies.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it helps with that Abhor the Witch too, because then you have really strong psychic defense. But you don't need to take psychers yourself.
That Calyxa becomes a sniper, can shoot at psychers. D6 shots if you're within 18. You can make the pistol D3 damage. You don't get any rerolls, but D6 shots, D3 damage, you can get lucky.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, I think that's gonna be it from us. So I'll let you guys go, and I'll be in touch to get you your prizes. Congrats to both of you for making it to the Grand Finals, and Jaime, super congrats for winning the whole thing, taking it down for the Space Wolves.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Liam, for a good game.
100% deserve it.
Thanks to you as well. Thanks for everything.
Take care, guys.
Yeah, thanks for an awesome game, guys. Have an awesome rest of your weekend, and
See ya.
Enjoy it.
Take it easy.
All right, everybody. That's going to be it from us for the stream today. Remember that we'll be pulling a winner for the giveaway in just a little while. So if you want to jump in on that at the last minute, ! Giveaway in the chat, we'll give you the form that you can fill out to be entered to win for that. We're going to be giving away a $50 gift certificate to Miniature Market. Thanks to Miniature Market for giving us that to give away. Also, huge shout out to all of our other sponsors for the for the event. They've been contributing a lot of our prize support for the players and for the competitors in the Invitational, and we really appreciate it. Big thanks shout out to our main sponsors, Discount Games Inc., which is another online store who's going to be contributing a lot of gift cards to the participants, as well as GameMat.eu, makes some incredible game mats. And Jaime is going to be winning one of those, so very cool. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the invitational coverage, and you've liked the games so far. I think that they've been really interesting. It's been really cool to see 9th edition on the table and to get a look at how the meta is going to shape up and some of the best lists, and watch them piloted by some of the best players in the game. Shuma, do you have any closing thoughts?
I mean, happy to be here. This is a great series of games. I'm really glad that the Invitational shaped up the way it did. These last few rounds were honestly just great to watch. I want to say anybody that likes this too, feel free to join us in the Discord. There are pods coming up. They're play casual games. You can get practice. You can talk about lists. There's a whole community here that's centered right around competitive 40k, and it's a great time to do it from the safety of your own home.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a link down in the description to our Discord server. We have standard pods, 16-player tournaments that are getting paired up this week. The first couple set of them are going to get launched, and then we'll be launching between 1 and 2 a week, I think, for the foreseeable future. And then we also have rapid fire pods, which are a lot faster and offer some more prize support. But for the most part, the standard pods and any casual events we run are free, and you can just jump in there and hang out with us and get some games of 40k, get your lists teched up, and really get some experience in 9th edition. And obviously, that will be all of those events and other events from other TTS communities around the world all culminate in the T5S2 Invitational, and we will be having our Season 2 Invitational probably sometime around January.
Exciting. Hopefully I can make it into that when I was, I think famously, a point short. Nope.
Yeah.
It was 0.12 points short of this one.
You just needed to dock a harder a little bit there, I think.
Just a little bit.
It's just a little bit, yeah.
Need to get 1 point in one game
top
somewhere.
18. Yeah. Well, awesome. Thanks again, everybody, for joining. I had a great time. I really appreciate, Shuma, you jumping on to do some commentary with me.
It's fun.
And I think there were a couple of questions in the chat about any sort of post-event analysis. Well, I'll certainly be doing a retrospective, I think, on the event, and talking about some of the results that we got from the Invitational, and the future of the series as we move on into the rest of 9th edition. So stay tuned for that. That'll be up on the channel sometime this week. And thanks everyone for the continued support of the channel and of the live streams. It's been super fun to hang out with everybody in the chat room and watch these incredible games of 40k unfold before our very eyes. So big shout out to the community for making it possible. That's gonna be it for us tonight, everyone. Have a good rest of your weekend and a good evening. And that's Tactical Tortoise out. And the wrap-up of the T5S2 Invitational.
Have a good game, everybody. Have a good day and a good night. And hope to see you.
Yeah, keep it classy, folks.